a game titled Deus Ex Machina Ragnarok, or Temrok for short. It was a game that hit #1 worldwide the moment it launched, ushering in a new era for VR gaming. Temrok dominated the global market, thrived brilliantly, and even secured Game of the Year awards. This was a legendary game that once boasted over 100 million concurrent players. However, its massive popularity gradually began to cool down. Temrok's rankings slowly slipped over time, and soon, the servers are set to shut down for good. A group of players is currently sitting together around a campfire. Right now, a few lines of in-game notifications appear before them. Greetings, this is Deus Ex Machina Ragnarok. The game will officially cease operations in 30 minutes. Do-yun, also known as Kaiser, the #1 player in Temrok, shows no emotion on his face as he reads those lines. Beside him, Purpletaste mumbles with a hint of boredom, "This damn game, I used to pray every day for it to crash and now it's actually shutting down." Purpletaste is ranked 5th in Temrok. Sword Emperor also frowns, replying with a sense of reluctant acceptance, "I feel the same way. Aside from being a piece of trash game, it was actually pretty fun. I don't get why it's closing." Sword Emperor is ranked 4th in Temrok. As soon as he finishes speaking, Keikaku Chicken adds, "It'd be weirder if it didn't shut down when Dragon Raids only drop brick bars." Keikaku Chicken is ranked 3rd in Temrok. Once he finishes, Sword Emperor asks irritably, "Do you always have to kill the mood like that?" He avoids his gaze while talking back, "Am I wrong though?" Sword Emperor scowls and continues grumbling, "I thought only that mask of yours was tacky, but turns out your way of talking is just as obnoxious." Keikaku Chicken reaches his limit and snaps back defiantly, "What, you wanna go? Let's solo." This attitude makes him so fed up he has to exclaim, "Typical, all you know is how to fight." Their bickering is cut short by Do-yun speaking up from a distance. But what follows is a bitter smile from the man himself as he says, "I honestly feel a bit bad about it too." Hearing that, Purpletaste laughs in agreement, "Makes sense. You're the one who grinded this game harder than anyone. It's only natural to feel bad." Along with that, he adds his own remark, "Every time I watched you fight, I thought you were playing like someone was chasing you down." Keikaku Chicken shrugs and adds in a friendly tone, "But God is fair after all. You're definitely the unluckiest one in our group, aren't you?" Purpletaste gives a smirking grin as he replies, "To be the top player on the server without a single legendary skill. If he had just a bit more luck, we probably wouldn't even be in the same league as him, right?" Old stories are recalled through Keikaku Chicken's words. "He failed 10 enhancements in a row and then screamed, 'The world is trying to kill me.' People really should have seen that. It was hilarious." Purpletaste wraps it up with a final comment, "Thinking back, he really was the worst kind of boss." The story makes the whole group burst into laughter. This time, it's Sword Emperor's turn to join in. "The unluckiest guy I've ever met for sure." After they finish chatting, Temrok's final notification appears. "Greetings, this is Deus Ex Machina Ragnarok. As planned, the game will officially shut down its servers today. Thank you for being with us until the very last moment." Their game characters begin to vanish and Purpletaste smiles as he gives a final goodbye. "Great work, everyone." Sword Emperor looks away, evaluating the moment, "So, it's really over now." Meanwhile, Keikaku Chicken smiles even wider, making them a promise. "See you guys in another game, an even better one." From beginning to end, Do-yun remains in place, watching his friends depart. The fire still burns, even growing stronger by the moment. He says nothing as he becomes the very last one to disappear. The light of the game gradually fades away as well. The VR headset is placed on the table like a final period. Temrok has officially closed its servers, and just like that, 2 years have passed. A new day begins in this modern city. Buses are whizzing by on the main road. On a bus, a soldier is dozing off next to 2 young men when an exclamation breaks the silence. "Man, his control is insane." Yangjun comments while looking at his phone screen, "Check this out. He's soloing the Demon King by himself." He scoffed, his eyes never leaving the phone screen. No doubt about it, the Executioner organization's rankers are definitely the strongest. This time, Jimin, sitting next to him, adds with sparkling eyes, "Organization or not, I like the Empress more. That aura and the way she moves alone. She's like a total lone wolf." He looks at the other guy's phone screen and adds, "I bet no one can beat those 2 now, right?" Yangjun asks lazily, "Isn't there one more person?" Jimin can't help but wonder who. His attitude completely shifts when mentioning his idol, the strongest player from the Temrok era, the rank 1 Kaiser. Jimin lets out an "oh" as he remembers, "Ah, that's right, there was Kaiser too, but he vanished after the game shut down. I wonder what he's up to these days. At this moment, Do-yeon, sitting nearby, only gives a slight smirk. It's been 2 years since Temrock closed its servers. Speaking of which, times have changed, and the hottest game out right now is Temrock's successor, called God of Savior, or GOS for short. Just like its predecessor, the number of players in this game is growing incredibly fast. The game content has also been vastly improved, with many new races and classes introduced. It's a world with absolute, infinite freedom. The smile on Do-yeon's face turns a bit more wicked as he thinks to himself, just you wait. The God Ranker is back. Kang Do-yeon, the former top player Kaiser of Temrock, has just been discharged with the rank of Army Sergeant. He is heading toward a high-rise apartment building. As soon as he gets home, Do-yeon rushes in and asks loudly, "Capsule, where's the capsule?" His younger sister, seeing him arrive, can only remark, "What, you're home already?" She and their mother watch Do-yeon fly past them like a gust of wind as she adds, "You just got back and you're looking for the capsule immediately." Their mother's half-joking, half-serious complaint follows him. "When you were little, it was always Mom, you only wanted me. I guess now that you're grown, you don't need anyone anymore." However, Do-yeon doesn't hear any of it, as he is busy observing the things set out in front of him. In the middle of the room stands a gaming pod. This is the one. I've only seen these on live streams until now, a VR capsule. Do-yeon presses his cheek against it, happily thinking about how he saved up bit by bit during his 18 months in the military to finally own one. His hand slides over the gaming pod, his heart filled with constant admiration. This feeling, these curves. Do-yeon doesn't waste a second and quickly opens it up. Once he's settled inside, he looks around and notes, even though it's used, it's actually pretty comfortable. Without wasting another moment, Do-yeon grabs the helmet and excitedly announces, "All right then, time for a test login." The connection process goes perfectly smooth as the game's voice prompts ring out, scanning retinas, verifying ID card. Very quickly, Do-yeon is through, ID card verified, sync complete. The game icon appears, followed by the title, God of Savior. Welcome to the paradise of adventure. He spawns into a lobby overflowing with brilliant light. Instructions begin to pop up everywhere. Please create your character. Do-yeon stares blankly at his own reflection in the mirror. Is this my character? He reaches up to scratch his head, thinking to himself, man, I look way too much like a soldier. However, seeing all the random hairstyles appearing in front of him makes Do-yeon annoyed. Why is there so much stuff? What a pain, I'll just pick something at random and be done with it. The system continues by requesting, please enter your nickname. He carefully considers this. A nickname, huh? The corners of Do-yeon's mouth curl up as he enters the familiar name, Kaiser. The character setup process finishes with a notification. Character created. Welcome Kaiser, your hashtag is Kaiser 312543. Transferring to the tutorial zone. He is greeted by a scene of utter devastation with fires burning everywhere. This is the bloody battlefield of Arlen City from the past. As soon as he appears, Do-yeon is stunned, thinking to himself, is this really a VR game? Notification windows continue to pop up. Please select a weapon. He reads them while silently weighing his options. A weapon, huh? As his eyes scan the familiar items, Do-yeon makes another observation. Just the usual stuff, nothing special. Finally, he chooses based on his instincts. I'll just go with what I'm used to. Holding the weapon in his hand, Do-yeon thinks with satisfaction, I've only ever used swords since the Temrock days. To his surprise, right after he finishes picking his weapon, a voice calls out from behind him, "Hey, you over there." The figure of a man runs toward him in a frantic hurry, followed by a questioning look from the man. "What are you doing here?" It's Knight Captain Charlie. Charlie grabs Do-yeon's hand, pulling him along as he urges, "Hurry, we have to move now." There is nothing but terror on his face. The other mercenaries have already joined the fight. As he moves with Charlie, another notification appears. You have formed a party with Knight Captain Charlie. The two of them run quickly past the city walls, then head together into the interior of the castle. The sight before Do-yeon right now is a landscape littered with corpses. Charlie looks around with a grimace, muttering curses. So they finally conspired with the monsters. If the rumors are true, he's already made a pact with that beast. His tone turns dead serious as he adds, if we don't stop it right now, that thing is going to descend. Then Charlie begins to lead Do-yeon along with him. "Hurry, this way is the fastest." He says nothing, merely following cautiously behind. Unexpectedly, as soon as they step through the doors, they are greeted by an arrow flying in from the distance. Charlie's footsteps stop instantly. He glares forward with irritation. On this side, a horde of monsters has appeared. Charlie quickly makes a declaration. "They've swarmed all the way here. Let me handle these guys to clear the way." However, before he can even finish his sentence, Do-yeon has already lunged forward, sword in hand. One of the monsters in the pack lets out a roar of pure rage. His gaze doesn't waver for a second, focused entirely on the battle ahead. Seeing the monster swing its weapon, Charlie warns loudly, "Danger." Meanwhile, Do-yeon simply pivots on his heel with ease. And just like that, the monster's attack misses its mark. It is so shocked its eyes go wide. Now it's Do-yeon's turn to draw his sword for a counterattack. He unleashes a strike as smooth as cutting through silk. The expression on Do-yeon's face doesn't change even the slightest bit. Taking advantage of the momentum, he immediately pushes forward. The monsters, seeing their comrade taken down in a flash, can't help but feel panic. A few others, ferocious and seemingly unaware of the danger, charge straight at him. They attack, but once again they fail. Do-yeon cocks his leg, preparing to strike back. His knee smashes directly into its jaw. The monster moans in absolute pain when they see their companions getting taken down. The surviving monsters can't help but feel a shiver down their spines. They are so scared they turn pale, yet Do-yeon has no intention of letting a single one of them go. He charges forward powerfully and delivers the finishing blow. Only then do Do-yeon's footsteps finally slow down. The last of the monsters have finally breathed their last. He flicks his sword to shake off the blood still clinging to the blade. Then Do-yeon lets out a satisfied smile, thinking to himself, "I was a bit worried since I haven't fought in a while, but I guess I'm not doing too bad." He hops around a few times to get a feel for his body. "Actually, I think my body feels even lighter than before." At this moment, Charlie exclaims, "Good heavens, I can't believe it. You took down 5 monsters all by yourself." A series of notifications appear as his expression changes. "Knight Captain Charlie is impressed by your strength. Charlie's favorability has increased." It was quite shocking. Do-yeon himself was a bit confused by the term favorability. He begins to think to himself, Temroke had this too, but after just one fight it increased this fast. Is he a bit too easy? On the other side, Charlie is doing his own calculations. An anonymous mercenary with this kind of power. Maybe this young man is a hero who only appears in history books. More notification windows keep popping up. Knight Captain Charlie is deeply moved by your battle. Charlie's favorability has increased significantly. Charlie's favorability has reached maximum. He now trusts you completely. Even if you did something wrong, he would believe you if you said you were framed. What follows is a quest summary. Received a new title, reaching max favorability right at the start of the game. Rank, rare. Description, a title for those who maximize favorability with an NPC during the tutorial. Effect, favorability with NPCs increases faster, all stats +2. Reading this, Do-yeon notes with interest, that's actually pretty sweet. The man approaches him and speaks up. Thanks to you, things have become much easier. Then he points toward the door in front of them and continues explaining. Now, we just need to defeat the dark sorcerer inside and we can end this battle with a victory. To their surprise, before they can even move, the space around them begins to shift. Oh no, have they already started the summoning? Lightning strikes, bringing a few more monsters along with it. Seeing the situation turning south, Charlie immediately delegates, I'll handle this area. You get in there and stop the summoner. His body begins to glow as he continues. If it's you, I can leave this in your hands with peace of mind. A final entrustment is given to Do-yeon. May the blessing of Saint Arlen descend upon this hero. Right after that, Charlie dashed straight ahead. Left behind, Do-yeon was momentarily stunned, wondering if he was supposed to go inside. He recalled several videos posted previously and secretly questioned it. As it seemed in the tutorial videos, Charlie was always the one to enter first. However, an answer was quickly provided. It was said that the storyline changes depending on the player's actions, but could it really change this much? Do-yeon came to a halt in front of the door. A bizarre aura emanated from it intensely, and a notification appeared. Only one person may enter. If you perish, the seal will be broken and all of the boss's debuffs will be removed. Do you wish to enter? Reading this, he once again marveled. A notification even appears in the tutorial section. However, Do-yeon once again realized that this was a hidden part of the game. To explain the hidden part, this is a mechanism concealed within the game that is only triggered or obtained under special conditions, sometimes yielding extremely rare rewards. The system asked again for his decision. Do you truly wish to enter? A smile played on Do-yeon's face. With such a valuable item at stake, there was no reason to avoid it. Yes. As soon as the choice was made, the gate swung open. Greeting Do-yeon were screams and the sight of someone being devoured. How can this be? I summoned you, so you must obey my orders. The corners of the magic dragon's mouth were stained with bright red blood. Do-yeon's eyes widened in shock. Fresh drops of blood fell from its body. What stood before him now was a bound, iron-blooded magic dragon. Legendary grade named boss title, danger level, undetermined. Race, dragonic, trait, currently sealed. Description, a magic dragon from the abyss known as iron-blooded. It is currently held by chains and its entire power is sealed, so its physical movements are severely restricted. Do-yeon's mouth hung open as if he couldn't believe what was before him. A legendary grade boss. Speaking of God of Savior, this game copied a great deal from its predecessor, Deus Ex Machina, Ragnarok. One of those things was the hierarchy system. This hierarchy includes tiers such as Epic and Legend. The special thing is that these ranking rules are also used for boss monsters, but the most exceptional among them are the unique monsters granted their own individual names. And currently, the chained iron-blooded magic dragon is a boss with its own name. The magic dragon raised its head to observe Do-yeon, then suddenly let out a roar. The power of this roar was aimed directly at him, and several notification windows appeared one after another. You have heard the roar of the imprisoned iron-blooded magic dragon. Your physical capabilities have decreased due to the roar of an overwhelmingly powerful entity. Movement speed has been reduced by 20%. Attack speed has been reduced by 20%. Defense stats have been reduced by 30%. Magic resistance has also been reduced by 25%. Do-yeon grimaced in annoyance, secretly wondering, "Are you kidding me? Is this some kind of sick joke?" He observed the magic dragon's body and wondered if its stats were supposedly sealed. Would it really make a difference? Do-yeon's gaze dropped to its feet. If he were swiped by those giant claws, it would definitely be an instant death. However, he also tried to remind himself, "I'm used to this kind of chaos. Things like this happened all the time back in Temro." Combat memories from when he played the old game resurfaced, and like every time before, he made only one decision. The aura surrounding Do-yeon shifted just like that. It's either live or die. He suddenly opened his eyes when he sensed something was off. Out of nowhere, the magic dragon launched an attack. Forcing Do-yeon to retreat to dodge, his feet skidded a long distance across the floor before coming to a stop. Taking advantage of the momentum, Do-yeon slashed a line across its leg. The magic dragon let out a cry of pain. Meanwhile, he himself struggled to hold his ground. As the shadow of the magic dragon loomed over his head, Do-yeon immediately retreated. He quickly moved out of its attack range. However, after successfully counterattacking, Do-yeon was also pushed back, his brows furrowing. Do-yeon observed the magic dragon's health bar and mentally assessed. 120 HP / 999,880. It only lost 120 health after 2 hits. But then he just let out a long, self-mocking sigh. It's exactly what they said on the forums, this difficulty level is absolute garbage. They had declared to one another, "What makes you think you can defeat a named boss? Are you guys crazy? That's impossible. It wasn't even designed to be destroyed by you." While diligently attacking, Do-yeon remembered those comments. Don't even mention the iron-blooded magic dragon or whatever that hellish thing is again. It gives me the chills, honestly it's scary as hell. Besides him, others were still wondering. Wait, is there really no way to kill it? I see someone dealing damage to it over there. No way, it's hopeless. Even the destroyer couldn't take it down. Do-yeon continuously swung his sword, dealing damage despite the casual, scattered chatter. I think the programmers just let it take damage for a bit of realism. Wow, you actually thought about attacking it. I just stood there frozen until I died. His efforts quickly brought about a new wave of discussion. What the hell is that? Its name just changed, right? The fatting of intellect. What on earth is happening? Wait, did it really change? Do their names usually change automatically like that? A flurry of comments appeared. A game bug? No way, it's run by something much smarter than Alpha. Then what's the reason? Don't tell me someone actually killed it. Huh, for real, how the hell could a level 1 player kill a leader? You mean someone just took down a boss that even the destroyer lost to? Who is it? The sword in Do-yeon's hand once again plunged into the magic dragon's foot, hard enough to draw blood. The magic dragon let out a pathetic roar. Its massive body fell powerlessly to the ground. Following that was the appearance of several notification windows. You have defeated the bound iron-blooded magic dragon. You are the first person to defeat a boss in the tutorial. You have single-handedly defeated a legendary grade named boss. This feat will be recorded in history. Your reward is. Do-yun, meanwhile, was busy gasping for air after the exhausting battle. Simply unbelievable. He grumpily noted to himself, truly a monster as terrifying as a nightmare. While pulling the sword out of its body, Do-yun muttered, the first one, huh? He glanced elsewhere and thought, that means even those bastards couldn't kill it. In his heart, Do-yun was remembering his old friends. Those damn developers, this thing is considered something people are supposed to clear. What a trash game, just throw it away, damn it. The corners of his mouth curled into a smile as he wondered, I wonder how they're doing now. Several notification windows appeared, catching Do-yun's attention. You have just received the title First Dragon Slayer. Talents will be formed based on your playstyle and achievements. Following that were a series of newly unlocked skills. The talent Weapon Master has appeared. The talent Hidden Dragon has appeared. The talent Conqueror has appeared. The talent Hero has been revealed. The talent Hardship Overcomer has appeared. Necessary conditions have been met. The unique grade talent Eyes of Truth has been revealed. Reading this far, Do-yun couldn't help but feel puzzled. What is this? Why did I receive so many talents? He waved his hand in front of the notification window as if to verify it while thinking, normally, you can only get one in the tutorial. Speaking of traits, this is one of the specialized systems in God of Savior. They range from exploration support types like Guide to combat-focused types like Swordsman. The higher your achievements, the greater the grade of the talent you receive. Reading this far, Do-yun couldn't help but marvel. This is insane, increasing all stats, having the swordsman effect for every weapon type, spatial tracking, and even immunity to debuffs. His eyes sparkled as he continued to look down. And there's even, Do-yun focused on a single line of text, another unique grade talent. Unique grade talent, Eyes of Truth, effect, see through everything that is hidden. The more he read, the more excited he became. Weapon Master, Hero, Conqueror, they are all amazing talents, but they aren't unique. Do-yun muttered to himself with conviction, even if no one possesses all of them at once, there will definitely be many players holding at least one of them. Then he turned his attention back to one thing, but what about the Eyes of Truth? It's unique grade, meaning it's the only one of its kind in the entire world. After thinking this and that through, a smile spread across Do-yun's lips. I just hit the jackpot, 1 unique talent and 5 regular ones. The info panel about himself appeared. Title, First Dragon Slayer Legend Grade. Description, deals extra damage to boss monsters. Side effect, +5 to all stats. When devouring it works on bosses, stats can stack +10. In addition, there's this overpowered title. It felt to Do-yun as if he were soaking in honey at this moment. God, this is wonderful, so sweet. I never thought someone with rotten luck like mine could get an opportunity like this. However, his train of thought was interrupted by a noise from outside. On this side, Charlie also turned his head toward the door. As if he couldn't believe his eyes, he stuttered out a cry. Then Charlie slowly took a few steps forward. On this side, Do-yun was still dazed. Once he stepped inside, he finally spoke. I am certain I heard the roar of a beast. Is it true that you defeated that creature? He looked at Charlie and nodded in admission. I guess so. Charlie looked at him in shock and marveled, and yet you stand here without a single scratch. Just what kind of master are you? Do-yun was about to explain casually, well, it's... However, the man quickly raised a hand to stop him. No, who you are or where you come from is no longer important. With the respectful air of a knight, Charlie placed his hand on his chest and declared, true heroes always appear in times of chaos. I am certain that your presence... Do-yun momentarily still didn't understand what was happening. His voice rang out again, will become a beacon, bringing great change to this chaotic world. And I, Charlie, believe that with all my heart. Charlie even knelt on the ground. Oh great hero, I beg of you, could you grant this humble knight? His hand stayed on his chest as he made his vow. The honor of becoming your sword. A notification window from the system appeared, explaining the current situation. Charlie, the Knight Commander of Castle Arlen, wishes to swear loyalty to you. If you agree, Charlie will renounce his title of commander and become Kaiser's subordinate. The master will receive all corresponding benefits from him. Do-yun's eyes widened, his heart marveling, you've got to be kidding me. Following that was the system's explanation. However, since he has long since passed away, you will not receive any benefits even if you become his master. Only when he read those lines did his confusion somewhat subside. Right, this tutorial is just a reconstruction of the past. Do-yun nodded slightly while replying, so this is just a formal event, fine, I accept. Charlie's face brightened at these words, accompanied by the appearance of several other notification lines. You have accepted Charlie's oath. You will forever be the master in the memory of Knight Commander Charlie. The battle recorded in history as the tragedy of Castle Arlen will now be remembered as a final victory in Charlie's mind. He will rest in peace and look forward to a better future. Do-yeon silently observed what was before him. Rest in peace, huh? Light suddenly appeared along with an instruction. You will soon be taken to the Pantheon. That blue beam of light formed a gate. At that moment, Charlie spoke up from behind. My master. The question he asked was full of anticipation. Where is our next destination? Do-yeon turned his head back while thinking, our next destination, huh? He flashed a smile and explained, either way, this is a harsh world. Do-yeon's face became more serious as he declared, so, we will go wherever we need to go. Charlie's eyes lit up hearing these words. Wherever we need to go, you say. Blue light enveloped the two of them. The system continued to notify, preparing for teleportation. You will be taken to the Pantheon in 5 seconds. 5, 4. Suddenly, Charlie thrust an item into Do-yeon's hand. Master, please accept this. Do-yeon looked at it confused. What is this? The system's countdown was still ringing out. You have received an item. On Charlie's lips was a look of complete satisfaction. Thank you, Master. Please rescue. Teleporting to the Pantheon. The scenery before Do-yeon rapidly changed and information appeared accordingly. Welcome to the Pantheon. This is the place for you to choose a god and decide the path you will take. We pray that you will receive the protection of the gods. Do-yeon looked around with an expressionless face. So this is the famous Pantheon of legend. Speaking of which, rather than calling it by the noble name Pantheon, people often knew this place more as a card-opening hub. A unique feature of CTC that had made many players laugh and cry in equal measure. This was the place where the divine gacha began. You are only permitted to serve one single god and your profession will depend entirely on the god you choose. Furthermore, because everything in the game CTC is clearly ranked, the gods also have their own distinct tiers. Epic gods, heroic gods, and legendary gods. As for the epic gods, they were originally entities who became gods through stories passed down by people since ancient times. Heroic gods, on the other hand, are humans who were hailed as heroes in the past, and then ascended to the Pantheon to join the ranks of the divine. The final tier is legendary gods, those who wrote their own legends, such as Zeus from Greek-Roman mythology, or Odin of Norse mythology. Both belong to this group. Naturally, the further down the tiers go, the higher the quality. At this moment, several notification lines from the system appeared. Each card will hide a different god inside. Please choose the god you wish to follow and assist. Do-yeon, seeing the sheer number of them, couldn't help but marvel. Wow, there are so many choices here. He decided to just close his eyes and pick one at random. His luck was never good anyway, so there was no need to be too greedy. To his surprise, among the pile of cards, there was a point of light that stood out. Why is that card over there glowing with such a bright golden light? Along with that came the activation of a skill. The skill Eyes of Truth has been activated. Do-yeon's eyes widened as he muttered, repeating what he had just read. To see through what is being hidden. Then came a marveling thought. This power is beyond imagination. He looked at the glowing card in front of him and began calculating the possibilities. If this is true, then from now on, every time I open a card pack, I'll always have victory in the palm of my hand. Memories of when he played the game with other teammates kept surfacing. How is it that your luck is so pathetically tragic? Everything else is fine, but as for your luck, when Do-yeon remembered it, he couldn't help but feel a bit hurt. In the past, I used to just laugh it off, but do you have any idea how bitter I truly felt inside? His gaze settled on the glowing card before him. But now, just having this in my hand, returning to the ranks of the top players is entirely possible. However, even though he was excited enough to feel his nose tingle, Do-yeon had to remind himself, calm down first. His hand slowly reached forward. Without question, I won't aim for anything other than the gold cards. Finally, he grabbed that card. Its information quickly appeared. You have drawn the legendary god, one-handed sword god tier. Do you wish to choose this god? The corners of Do-yeon's mouth curled into a smug smile. A legendary god, no less, with this start. However, immediately after, several notification lines with a red background appeared. The qualifications to become an apostle have not yet been formed. You cannot become an apostle of tier. Please perform the card draw once again. Do-yeon's mood immediately tanked. What the hell is happening? I can't be an apostle, the system notified. Tyr feels extremely bewildered by this unexpected situation. He cautiously calculated, the vessel to contain the power has not been created yet. Do-yeon had to admit to himself that he had never heard of or seen such a strange case before. Finally, a flash of insight struck him. Wait a minute, a vessel for power. Do-yeon recalled the events of the previous day. Usually, after a player is killed by the magic dragon, a goddess appears to bestow an oracle. His line of thought continued to develop. However, because I defeated the red dragon, the goddess didn't show up. If that's the case, is all this trouble because I haven't received the goddess's enlightenment? Then Do-yeon opened his own status window. Player level 11, maximum affinity achieved from the start. Title: First Dragon Slayer. Strength 5 plus 18, Agility 5 plus 18, Stamina 5 plus 18, Perception 5 plus 18. It wasn't there. He quickly noticed the difference, right at the job section where it was supposed to say Apostle. Stamina 210 to 10, Class Adventurer. Title 2, there it only displayed the single word, Adventurer. A difficult problem had been posed. Damn it, how am I supposed to handle this now? And then Do-yeon looked up again. If this keeps up, those cards won't have any value. Either way, they'll just keep notifying me that I don't have the qualifications. All the excitement from earlier vanished like bubbles. Do you know how long I've waited for this moment? Do-yeon dejectedly held his head, trying to remind himself, what should I do now? If I delete this character to make a new one, I'll have to wait for 60 days. However, immediately after, he noticed something else. Do-yeon's vision locked onto a red card lying scattered on the ground. Red. His hand touches it as he silently thinks to himself that he has never even heard of a red tier card before. Information about this card immediately appears. You have selected a hidden card. You have chosen Hasiar, the Forgotten Last Adventurer. You possess the qualities of an adventurer. You have officially become an apostle of Hasiar. Do-yeon's eyes reflect the red hue of the card. I'm certain this is a secret piece of the puzzle. System notifications keep popping up as a red light slowly envelops his body. You have promoted to the Last Adventurer. You have acquired the skills of this class. Class: Last Adventurer. Description: in the early days, all of humanity were originally adventurers. They were once the masters of the Vestal region, stronger than anyone, possessing powers that threatened even the gods until they faded away in vain. From that fateful day, humanity was defeated, and I am the last adventurer remaining. Long strings of information appear one after another. Innate talent: adventurer. Adventurers are those who always crave freedom. They are the masters and also the friends of Vestal. They carry an explosive potential. Effect: you can learn and use all skills without being limited by class. Reading this, Do-yeon can only exclaim, this is absolutely insane. He thinks with satisfaction, no longer bound by a class, I can perform every single skill. And then he finds a way to develop this further. Because of this, I can build my own personal skill system, selecting only the most useful skills to use. A roadmap is quickly mapped out by Do-yeon. In addition, combining this with the Eye of Truth, I'm sure I can obtain the exact moves I want. What would happen if I paired it with the Weapon Master talent? He even imagines a future where he truly becomes an all-powerful being, with no more weaknesses left. Information continues to be provided by the system. The class change process is complete. You will be teleported to the Vestal region shortly. Throughout that process, Do-yeon keeps reminding himself, as long as I have this start. The system's countdown rings out. 3. A proud smile plays on Do-yeon's lips. It's definitely worth giving it my all one more time. Right now, the light is gradually covering his entire body. 2. To climb to the position of a top-ranked expert. Vestal region, Ard, the city of beginnings, overflowing with light and bustling activity. Everyone has their own goal. Oh man, this gacha pull of mine was a total disaster. Try to be a bit more patient. There are still countless things to do in GOS even if you're not a combat class. On the street, two figures are walking together. One of them remarks dejectedly, looks like we can't find anyone promising today. Talent Scouts. To speak of Talent Scouts, they are officers responsible for recruiting new members for guilds, but in the eyes of players, they are no different from annoying cult recruiters who always ask, do you believe in our religion? The gray-haired guy continues irritably, I need to fill my quota for this month, otherwise that damn manager is going to throw a fit again. Just then, the black-haired person looks in another direction and speaks up, hey, look at that guy over there. They observe Do-yeon and give an assessment. He looks like a pathetic mess, doesn't he? It looks like his spirit has completely broken. Finally, these two decide to ignore him. Let's go. There's no point in recruiting someone so worn out. The truth is that Do-yeon is reading the information appearing before him, blood, necklace, and covenant. An accessory carrying a solemn vow created from the blood of Charlie, commander of the Arlen Knights. Only his descendants may possess this. Item grade, heroic. Level requirement, none, restricted to Charlie's master. Special option, defense and magic resistance will increase every time a certain amount of experience is accumulated. Unlocks at level 35. His jaw drops as he silently marvels, this is amazing. A heroic tier equipment, even the attribute lines are extraordinary. Once again, Do-yeon experiences the feeling of being bathed in honey. The sensation is sweet, and it is truly, truly wonderful. However, a notification appears and interrupts his excitement. Quest notification, clear out the goblins. Do-yeon reads it while mumbling, a quest to kill goblins, huh? Not only him, but many others receive the same notification. Clear out goblins. Difficulty normal. Description, a request commissioned by Dante, a veteran hunter in the Ard region. Defeat goblins 040. Reward 80 silver and a certain amount of experience. Risk, Dante's favorability may decrease. Time limit, 24 hours. Each of them has a different reaction. This is a hunting quest. Awesome, what a stroke of luck, I don't even have to bother waiting in line anymore. From a distance, Dante stands on a high platform, waving his hand cheerfully. Then I'm counting on you guys. Hunter Dante is asking you to please purge all those stupid goblins for me, okay? As soon as they receive the quest, those present immediately begin forming groups. Looking for teammates, forming a party here. Anyone want to do the beast gathering quest together? Looking for a party, need a tank, DPS, and support to grind straight to level 12. Do-yeon looks around and cautiously evaluates the situation. It seems everyone is joining parties to get the job done. From behind, a group of 3 people approaches him with a proposal. Sorry to bother you, but our group plans to grind quickly to level 12. Do you want to come along? Their faces wear a friendly smile. Let's play together to get the party bonus. Come on, let's go hunt them together. Do-yeon considers this offer very seriously. Forming a party, that actually makes a lot of sense. He knows very well that not only does hunting become much easier with teammates, but if you factor in the bonus experience, hunting in a group is almost a mandatory requirement. Do-yeon doesn't waste time and quickly agrees. Sounds good to me, let's form a team. The party Shield is the best has been successfully established. Party Shield is the best, level 1 My Han Chu D, level 1 Yu Bin Gong, level 1 Kaiser, when he sees Do-yeon's name. Shield is the best quickly remarks, are you a fan of Kaiser too? And My Han Chu D follows up curiously, Kaiser, who is that? Yu Bin Gong, sitting nearby, kindly explains, he was someone who held the #1 spot back in the Temroke days. Her eyes light up after she realizes, ah, I see, you must be a hardcore fan of Kaiser then, even your name is set as Kaiser. From beginning to end, Do-yeon only manages a sheepish smile without saying a word. Their spirits are high, well then, shall we set off? Let's all hit level 12 as fast as we can. Let's go, he reluctantly follows along. Very quickly, the battle breaks out. Shield is the best has inflicted a debuff on a blue goblin. The blue goblin has been stunned for 1 second. He successfully launches an attack and turns back to signal, I just landed a trap, everyone focus your attacks on it. Yu Bin Gong calls out loudly while firing arrows. My Han Chu D. She understands the signal and immediately joins the attack with a magic orb. The 2 of them deal damage together and quickly take down the goblin. You have successfully defeated a blue goblin. Seeing their comrade fall, the rest of them are half panicked and half enraged. They decide to charge forward, risking their lives. However, once again, successfully acts as the team's shield. Yu Bin Gong's voice rings out, block the attack. And My Han Chu D follows up, brother, use your shield. Shield is the best, uses his strength to hold back the blue goblins and shouts, hurry up and finish it off. However, the other 2 members hesitate. Wait a second, my skill is still on cooldown. At this moment, the silhouette of another blue goblin appears from behind. Shield is the best, jaw drops at the sight. A smug smile spreads across its face. It is certain that this sneak attack will succeed. However, there is also movement on the ground. Do-yeon lunges forward and takes down the blue goblin with a single slash. You have just defeated a blue goblin. Shield is the best is visibly stunned. Yu Bin Gong and My Han Chu D also wears the exact same expression. Do-yeon lands gently after taking down that blue goblin. However, just a second later, he lunges forward again. Next, Do-yeon blurs through the crowd of goblins, accompanied by several notifications. You have just defeated a blue goblin. You have just defeated a blue goblin. The party members seeing this massacre are visibly excited. That's amazing. Great job, Kaiser. Kaiser is truly #1. After finishing everything up, Do-yeon finally sheathes his sword. Shield is the best appears from behind with a smile. Great work everyone, well done, you guys are really skilled. He even begins to dream, if we keep up this performance we'll soon reach. Before he can finish his sentence, Shield is the best urgently warns, Kaiser, behind you. A pack of blue goblins emerges from the forest side. They all bear a ferocious expression. Seeing the overwhelming numbers, Shield is the best immediately suggests a retreat. We can't handle this many, let's get out of here first. However, Do-yeon has once again charged forward. Kaiser, inside, he is silently nodding. However, I have never once fought blindly. The blue goblins gleefully charge toward him. He leaps high, preparing for a close quarters clash with them. In Do-yeon's eyes right now is nothing but killing intent for them. The forest, which was originally peaceful, is stirred up just a second later by several attacks. Purpletaste expresses his confusion. Why do you always dive into such risky battles? Are you just hot-headed, or is there something wrong with you? Someone who acts so recklessly is bound to taste failure sooner or later. To this question, Do-yeon only replies nonchalantly, reckless, what the hell are you talking about? He begins to explain, look, when your health is at a critical level and then a boss-tier monster suddenly appears, isn't it completely insane to charge straight at it? However, he is silenced by another question from Do-yeon. But the result was that I took it down, didn't I? Purpletaste momentarily pauses and then agrees, well, that's undeniably true. You're not wrong, but that kind of action is still incredibly dangerous. Back in the present, a pack of blue goblins stands before Do-yeon. How thoughtless. He looks at them and silently agrees, perhaps so, there's no reason to do this. Risking one's life pointlessly just to fight is unnecessary. Just then, Shield is the best quickly turns his head with the intention of retreating. We don't have enough strength to deal with them. I'm pulling back right now. However, Do-yeon has already lunged forward. Kaiser, in his heart, he is silently assessing, and yet, I have never once fought blindly. The blue goblins gleefully charge toward him. The two sides quickly clash. Do-yeon's eyes now shine with a red light. I fight simply because I am certain I will win. The forest, which was originally peaceful, is stirred up just a second later. You have just used the skill Crush. Do-yeon continuously attacks the pack of blue goblins. Notifications from the system appear incessantly. A critical hit has been landed. You have successfully defeated a blue goblin. Through the item distribution, Kaiser has received a blue goblin hide. In the middle of the fight, he glances back. Currently, only a single blowgun poison goblin remains. Do-yeon's feet shift direction, and then he targets them for an attack. I believe I can do it. A series of strikes as smooth as cutting through silk are unleashed. The blue goblin with the blowgun prepares to launch another sneak attack. Do-yeon is slashing through its comrades when a projectile flies toward him. The skill Fluidity is activated, bypassing the innate talent effect using indomitable will to break through all limits. The talent Transcended has been activated. Do-yeon's vision is enhanced. He easily deflects the projectile. The blue goblin witnesses this and is so stunned its jaw drops. Do-yeon charges directly at it to attack. Then his feet slide a long distance across the ground. Because another blue goblin is aggressively charging toward him from the front, it gnashes its teeth and swings its sword at Do-yeon. His eyes emit a red glow. And with just one strike, Do-yeon easily takes down the blue goblin. System notifications appear. Thanks to the Weapon Master talent, all equipment restrictions are removed. Under the influence of the Adventurer effect, you can use the basic dagger skill, Vital Stab. A satisfied smile plays on his lips. Check this out. His other hand shifts smoothly and draws a knife. Next, Do-yeon stabs the knife into the blue goblin. You have performed the skill, Vital Stab. You have hit the enemy's weak point. A critical hit has been calculated. He has just taken this one down and already has to face another. The weapons of both sides clash together. Do-yeon successfully knocks the club out of the blue goblin's hand. The Weapon Master trait helps remove barriers when using equipment. The Adventurer talent allows you to use the basic mace skill, Swing. In the blink of an eye, he has appeared right in front of it. The blue goblin's face is lit with terror. That is also the moment it must face death. Do-yeon plunges the knife into it while seizing its weapon. And then he uses that very club to finish off this blue goblin. You have used the skill, Swing. Notifications from the system pop up one after another. Your weapon proficiency level has increased. Your weapon skill level has now reached level 2. Your dagger proficiency has increased. Your dagger mastery is now level 2. Your sword proficiency has improved. Your sword mastery has now reached level 3. This seems to be working out pretty well. Looking at the battlefield he created, Do-yeon can't help but marvel. I thought I would only be able to learn skills without restrictions, but I didn't expect to be able to use them this effectively right away. His face becomes extremely excited. This truly exceeds my expectations. Behind him is still watching. He looks like he can't believe what is happening. What the hell is going on? This is ridiculous. The truth is something everyone knows well. Even an experienced party would struggle to hunt an entire pack of goblins like that. Shield is the best continues to observe Do-yun, but he cleared them all out by himself. His name catches his eye, ID Kaiser. Kaiser, Shield is the best wonders to himself in confusion. I really can't believe it, could this be that Kaiser? But immediately after he quickly denies it. No, there's no way. Because everyone knows that he was a genius expert who vanished from the scene for the past 2 years. What the hell would Kaiser be doing here now? Since Temroke shut down, no one has heard any news about him and now he just happens to show up in my group today. It doesn't make any sense at all. Shield is the best feels more and more confused. So who exactly is this guy? However, Do-yun is busy enjoying the victory. Aha, this is great, truly great. His somewhat eccentric expression makes Shield is the best feel uneasy. He looks a bit crazy, doesn't he? A blue light suddenly appears. Do-yun watches as the blue goblins slowly vanish and quickly understands. It looks like everything disappears except for the dropped weapons. He doesn't mind much. After all, he has removed weapon restrictions and can even use skills, so he thinks this is enough for now. Next, Do-yun requests his status window. His information appears almost instantly. Player Kaiser level 4 HP 300-350, MP 200-150, Stamina 230-140, Class Last Adventurer, Apostle of Class, Titles 2 Maximum Favorabilities from the start, The First Slave, Strength 5+18, Agility 5+20, Constitution 5+19, Perception 5+18. Magic 5+18, remaining points 15. Ha, I've gained 3 levels in a single hunting trip. Do-yun leisurely reviews the information sheet. Even though I'm not limited by any weapon type, my core foundation is still using the sword. I'll put 9 points into strength, 8 points into agility, and the rest into perception. In his mind are calculations. The other stats have been temporarily boosted by the titles in Charlie's necklace. An exclamation from behind catches his attention. My god, Kaiser, that performance just now was absolutely insane. The party members were all filled with admiration. I'm officially your biggest fan now, Kaiser, you're seriously the best. Shield Aesthebist couldn't help but wonder, with strength at this level, are you really that legendary Kaiser? Yubingong, standing nearby, quickly cut in. Come on, that person hasn't been active for a very long time. How could he suddenly make a comeback like this? However, he still defended his own opinion. But after seeing him fight with my own eyes, it's the most logical explanation. The other person partially agreed. He really does have the presence of a Kaiser in the flesh, doesn't he? They continuously showered Do-yun with praise. That was seriously amazing just now. If you said you were the real Kaiser, I'd definitely believe it 100%. He only laughed it off, but in his heart he was thinking, this is rough, but I actually am Kaiser. At that moment, another question was posed. By the way, Kaiser, did you just receive power from some mythological god? The amount of damage you're dealing is absolutely insane. Do-yun once again humbly replied, it's all thanks to my talents. Besides, I was also lucky enough to earn a title. The more they heard, the more their admiration grew. You even have a title. Aren't you about to become a top-tier ranker? I need to make sure to get on your good side starting right now. The party chatted for a while longer. Afterward, Shield Aesthebist made a suggestion. All right, it looks like my health has fully recovered. Shall we continue with the hunt? Yubingong's spirit rose accordingly. Why don't we just go ahead and take down 10 more while we're at it? Seeing them so excited, Do-yun had to agree. Good idea. Yubingong declared loudly, let's head out. Shield bearers, we've got big bro Kaiser by our side now. Mihinchudi also excitedly agreed, let's go. Only Do-yun's gaze changed, because the voices of the past unconsciously echoed back. Hurry it up now, Keikaku Chicken and Purpletaste had noisily discussed with each other before, but first we need to gather the essentials. Either way, Kaiser will handle everything, he's a pro after all. Sword was also annoyed by this attitude. Hey, we're ranked players too, you know. Keikaku Chicken talked back, a ranker like you still acting stuck up. Sword Emperor got even angrier. What? Who did you just talk to? Do-yun looked up at the sky and wondered, so what? I wonder what the others are up to now. To his surprise, another info panel appeared before him. Emergency quest, Mutant Goblin Blood, rarity rare. Description, this quest is commissioned by Kalda, an alchemist who has lived for centuries. Recently he has been secretly monitoring the mutant goblins and seems to have found something to help him. Collect fresh blood from the mutant goblin warrior residing in the caves of Ard Forest. Defeat mutant goblin warrior, 0-1. Mutant goblin warrior blood, 0-1. Completion reward, 1 gold. A certain amount of experience points and a silver ring crafted by Kalda himself. Failure penalty, Kalda's affinity may decrease. Time limit, none. Do-yun's expression shifted just like that. A mutant goblin warrior, huh? Do-yun's party quickly arrived before a massive cave. Yubingong was the first to speak. I'm feeling so nervous. Mihinchudi agreed with him. Me too. Hearing these words, Do-yun reflected in his heart. That anxious feeling right now is understandable. He remembered things that happened before they got here. Thanks to hunting extra monsters on the way, they knew this dungeon was nicknamed. Party, Shieldesthebist level 9, Mihinchudi level 9, Yubingong level 9, Kaiser level 9. The Rookie Destroyer. The comment section was incredibly noisy. How the hell are you supposed to kill that mutant goblin warrior? I just failed on my third try. Do they really have a chance of winning? It's totally possible to take it down if you bother to follow the guide. No way, I followed it, but it's insanely hard. Just one small mistake and the whole team is wiped. Then what's the point of playing? Reading this far, Do-yun could confirm that this was a dungeon where players would definitely perish the first time they stepped inside. They entered with a determination to taste a bit of what a real raid feels like. At the Ard Catacombs, among the names people gave it, not a single one sounded hopeful. Greeting them were goblin warriors. Compared to hunting normal goblin packs, the challenge level here was significantly higher. Even this secret realm itself had unique mechanics that required extremely tight team coordination. When combining both of those factors together, another party was angrily walking out just as Do-yun's group entered. No wonder this place earned the name Rookie Grinder. Comments rang out one after another. God, seriously, do we even have a chance of beating this thing? They should have designed it so it could be done solo. I just want to punch my party members in the face every time they mess up. Mihinchudi listened and muttered, it seems like it's going to be very arduous. Shieldesthebist followed up with an air of determination. Even if it's hard, we have to overcome it. If we can't clear this place, we won't have a chance to join any of the upcoming raids. Do-yun hadn't taken his eyes off his teammates this whole time. He's right. He recalled several discussions on the forums. Even corporations, when faced with a choice, even businesses if they had to choose, all followed the forum rules. Recruiting members for Guild Plus. Requirement. Must have defeated Goblin Warrior Hero rank or above level 10, 24 views. Guild Umbrella Recruiting. Need to clear Goblin Warrior looking for Healer Gauler 2,359 views. Gable Recruiting. Need to kill Goblin Warrior looking for Healer or Tank Gauler 15,578 views. So, would they choose such a different game? A few other members wondered, do we absolutely have to kill that Goblin Warrior? If you don't, you won't be able to join any guild or party. Can't I just lie and say I already beat it? No, they're asking why they can't just make up a story about it. Don't you know that everything is recorded in the adventure book? Various topics related to this Goblin Warrior were constantly brought up. This is so annoying. Might as well just quit the game. Your IQ is probably on the same level as that goblin. Those little tricks don't work in TCT. Leading to the mention of an item, the adventure book. Inside that adventure book, many things are contained, from quest materials to the exploration of new lands and even the slaying of bosses. It could be said that every activity a player performs in the world of TCT will be saved in the adventure book. However, time passes and later on, when there's a long list of defeated bosses, it might be different. But if you want to join a boss hunting party in the next city, players will have no choice but to grit their teeth and overcome this challenge. Do-yun thought to himself as he walked inside. Furthermore, the boss in the next city is a mandatory target to defeat, unlike Ard. After walking a bit further, he stopped. Before them now was a massive gate with information clearly displayed. Lair of the Mutant Goblin Warrior. Rank, Rare, Type, Party Dungeon, Boss Characteristics, Solo Boss, Description, the home of a warrior who was once a legendary and brave green goblin until he was cursed and exiled by the tribe. Limit, 4 players. Level requirement, under level 10. Do-yun finally turned his head back and declared, well then, shall we start heading in? The other members, though still anxious, agreed, all right, I'm ready. Mihinchudi even added, I've studied the strategy guide more than 10 times. I'll do my best not to make any mistakes. However, right after they uttered those words, the atmosphere abruptly fell silent. The 4 of them just looked at each other until Shieldesthebist remembered his duty. He stepped forward, then placed a hand on the door and declared, well then, I'll start heading inside now. A notification from the system quickly appeared. Party leader Shieldesthebist is requesting to enter the lair of the mutant goblin warrior. Do you agree? This time Yubingong declared loudly, let's go. Mihinchudi also determinedly stepped up. Do-yun agreed with visible excitement. Information from the system continued to appear, checking the number of participating members, confirming level for entry. Once successfully confirmed, the door opened for them. entering the territory of the mutant goblin warrior. The excitement was becoming increasingly clear on Do-yeon's face. It's been a while since I've done this, time to warm up a bit. The whole group stood at the entrance, solemnly observing the surrounding space, then slowly moved forward. The torches on the wall were lit all at once. The target to be conquered also quickly appeared. Mutant Goblin Warrior, health 20,000/20,000. Title, Elite Boss, Type, Goblin, Trait, Mutant Warrior, Extremely Strong Physical Enhancement. Once the greatest of the tribe, but a curse transformed his skin color and robbed him of his reason. He was exiled after causing a mad massacre. This goblin warrior had a leering, distorted grin on his face. He let out a threatening roar. The ceiling shook because of it. Shieldethebist saw this and noted, so this is an elite boss. Mihinchudi couldn't help but feel a bit worried. This is. Until Do-yeon's voice rang out, it's charging. The goblin warrior aimed at them and attacked, while at the same time Shieldethebist made an observation. No matter how talented Kaiser is, he can't protect all three of us. Next, Shieldethebist observed the remaining two members of the party, at least. Finally, he made a decision. I need to perform well myself. The goblin warrior continuously showed off his might. A command was given just like that. Everyone scatter. They quickly moved in several different directions. While moving, Shieldethebist carefully observed the first mechanic. Charge. Right as he thought of it, the goblin warrior dashed forward. Its head slammed into the rock. A notification from the system appeared. The mutant goblin warrior is stunned for 2 seconds. Yubingong and Mihinchudi took advantage of the opportunity to cast magic. The attacks from the two of them hit the mark. However, the goblin warrior didn't budge at all. Shieldethebist's eyes widened because of that. He gritted his teeth as he looked at the greatsword in its hand. The goblin warrior swung down a blow. Shieldethebist struggled to defend. He even triggered an innate skill. The skill Guardian has been activated. A notification from the system appeared. Defense, health, and stamina stats will increase when teammates stand behind you. Shieldethebist turned back and signaled, I've got its attention. A blue light appeared as Do-yeon launched an attack. The goblin warrior cried out in pain after taking the full force of that blow. An explosion was created almost immediately. This made Shieldethebist excitedly remark, Great. Things are progressing very smoothly. At this rate, we can clear the first phase safely. From behind, Yubingong signaled loudly, the next mechanic is about to happen. But everyone knew that, theoretically, that mechanic only appears when its health drops to 10,000. And the goblin's HP at this moment was 20,000/99,982. Shieldethebist was dazed as he saw the monster preparing to launch an attack. However, Do-yeon acted in time. He closed the distance and attacked it in the blink of an eye. The goblin warrior roared in pain as it was severely wounded. Even Shieldethebist was equally surprised. Do-yeon didn't stop there. On his face now was a smug smile along with a declaration, Mechanic handle. The two of them sat together on a stone bench. The reporter said, Mr. Kaiser, your team has conquered all the toughest dungeons today. You were honored as a member of the strongest party to ever exist. Could you reveal the secret to this success? Do-yeon smiled brightly and replied, Our secret. Perhaps it's just that everyone plays to their maximum strengths. Every word he said was recorded in her small notebook. The reporter also actively exchanged thoughts with him. Normally, a standard team composition includes 4 key positions: tank, damage dealer, healer, and support. She wondered about one thing. However, I noticed that your party is missing a tank. Is it feasible to go on raids without that position? Speaking of this issue, Do-yeon had a thought. A tank, they certainly play a very important role. Do-yeon had also considered looking for someone, but the role was so big that no one had taken it yet. They have to face the boss directly, block its attacks, and soak up all the damage. That is an essential responsibility. Because he felt that he was the missing piece, that's why I took on that role myself. This unexpected answer left the reporter wide-eyed and open-mouthed. Wait, what? Do-yeon only smirked, glancing at her. In a recent battle, their team had to deal with a fierce, long-nosed ogre. Even Shieldethebist didn't expect this. How could that be possible? Do-yeon himself dashed up alone and took it down. Even pros would have a hard time blocking its blows with crowd control skills, yet he could break that attack pattern without using any crowd control moves. In his hand was only a small sword, yet every slash was fatal. On top of that, he was in the damage-dealing position. Even with a giant sword in hand, the ogre couldn't do anything to Do-yeon. It roared fiercely in frustration. He wasn't afraid at all, but instead charged forward with burning intensity. This kind of attack was nothing. With just one slash, he sealed its limbs. The whole team was happy and surprised. Yubingong praised Doyun endlessly. "Oh my god, look at how he only aims for the weak points. This is crazy, terrifying." He just blocked its attack again. Suddenly, Shieldethebist was startled as he saw the ogre's health bar had decreased significantly after just a few of Doyun's slashes. The boss's health was down to only 20%. Seeing that the time was ripe, he ordered the whole team forward. "The second phase is about to start. Everyone, get ready for the next wave of attacks." Yubingong already had her crossbow ready and Mihinchudi also had her staff prepared. "Roger." At this moment, the system notified. "The mutant goblin warrior's health has dropped below 20%. The mutant goblin warrior entity is unleashing its trait." The goblin's muscles bulged with veins. It had transformed to become stronger. They were also ready for the final battle, the system notified. "The trait warrior has been activated." The goblin roared fiercely, shaking the entire area. The system kept providing information. All of its stats skyrocketed and it fell into a berserk state. The mutant trait also began to take effect. Doyun had started a stance to turn it into pulp. Bring it on. Inside the goblin now, the mutant trait was active, a form of power unlike the ordinary, granting unique skills to each boss. The power given to the mutant goblin warrior this time was a rule. It is also known by the name 73. The system continuously analyzed. If physical damage is dealt 4 consecutive times or more, the entire party will be hit with a debuff. If magic damage is dealt 3 consecutive times or more, all attacks will be reflected back at the player. As it roared in bursts, a strange heat radiated from within it, making them fly back a bit. Due to the influence of the warrior trait's berserk state, the attack and movement speeds of all players were reduced by 4%. Yubingong spoke up. "Dealing with this monster normally was tiring enough. Now there's even a weakening effect." But only Doyun was unaffected. "The hero trait has prevented mental pollution. The berserk effect has been neutralized. You are completely immune to the effects of the mutation." When he realized his internal power, a killing intent flared within. "So that's how it is. That means those debuffs have no effect on me at all, right?" Shieldethebist saw the two of them were worried, so he reassured them. "Hey, everyone stay calm and don't accidentally attack it. Put all your effort into dodging at all costs." Yubingong was very cooperative, understood. This was when he remembered Doyun and turned to ask about the situation. "You don't have any objections to this, do you, big bro Kaiser?" But Doyun was strangely calm. He told them to just wait here for a moment. This view of his immediately left Shieldethebist confused. "What did you say?" Suddenly, blood sparks appeared in Doyun's eyes and his entire body flared with killing intent. He smirked and said, "I'll go up there and handle it." This action left Shieldethebist unable to believe his eye. In just a moment, Doyun had dashed right up to the goblin's feet. It thought one swipe would be enough to crush him, so it smiled triumphantly. However, it was wrong. He used only the tiny sword in his hand but managed to block its terrifying blade. Doyun's eyes flared up. In less than a second, he dealt countless slashes all over the goblin's body. It immediately let out a pathetic cry. Yubingong wondered, why aren't the crowd control effects reaching him? Mihinchudi also found it strange. While we're all struggling with abnormal states, everything happened so fast. Shieldethebist couldn't believe Doyun's extraordinary ability. What the hell is going on? Wasn't he only considered a damage-dealing god before? He looked up, mouth agape, and now, right at this moment, he looked no different from. No matter how many times the goblin slashed, it couldn't stop Doyun from attacking. Doyun's appearance at this moment was no different from a true god of war. He slashed one side of its neck. It groaned in low, muffled bursts. Then he slashed again from behind. In Shieldethebist's eyes now, Doyun looked like a player with game-hacking abilities. ID, Kaiser, you have successfully leveled up. Sword mastery level has been increased. Your sword mastery has reached level 7. Thanks to the effect of level 7 sword mastery, sword damage will increase by an additional 7%. The goblin charged like a madman. It was incredibly angry and slashed continuously at Doyun. He only glared at it and reacted as fast as lightning, swinging his sword to strike it precisely. Not only did he slash once, but he slashed consecutively without tiring, each strike accurate to the millimeter. Another slash and then another. The system was also busy announcing achievement. You have successfully leveled up. Sword mastery level has been increased. Your sword mastery has reached level 7. The goblin was beaten so badly it couldn't defend itself. Thanks to the frenzy effect, you will deal an additional 10% damage to boss subjects. Do-hyun lunges forward for one final strike. Before it can even react, he has circled behind it and slashed down. Thanks to the rage effect, you deal an additional 10% damage to boss entities. Do-hyun's eyes glow a fierce red as he pours all his strength into this blow, a devastating strike right down its back. The goblin lets out a bone-chilling scream as if its skin and flesh were being torn apart, blood splattering everywhere. Moments later, it collapses to the ground and dies. The system immediately announces, "You have successfully defeated the mutant goblin warrior. This dungeon has officially been conquered." Yubingong's eyes go wide. This is unbelievable. Mihinchudi is also completely shocked. Shieldesthebist, breaking into a sweat, says, "I wanted to talk about Kaiser." Yubingong, confused, asks, "What about him? Is there something wrong with him?" He still hasn't recovered his composure, his mind filled with questions. Is it possible that he really is the true Lord Kaiser? This statement takes both of them by surprise. What did you say? Everyone watches Do-hyun's every move with meticulous attention. Do-hyun stands on the back of the dead goblin, exuding an air of complete victory. The system panel appears. System has calculated the completion time. Completion time 29 minutes 58 seconds. Current rankings: first place, Super Team 29 minutes 58 seconds. Second place, Anonymous Team 35 minutes 11 seconds. Third place, Massacre Team 42 minutes 12 seconds. Fourth place, Other Teams 44 minutes 7 seconds. He leans on his sword, listening as the system continues its lengthy analysis. You have reclaimed the top spot on the time rankings. Additional rewards will be granted based on contribution levels: Kaiser, Shieldesthebist, Mihinchudi, Yubingong. Immediately after, items begin to manifest. The reward for the highest contributor has been sent. You have received the equipment, Mutant Goblin Warrior's Red Leather Armor. You have received the equipment, Mutant Goblin Warrior's Red Gloves. You have received the weapon, Mutant Goblin Warrior's Great Blood Sword. You have acquired the title, Throne of the Time Race. Description: this is a noble title for the leader in a speed race. Effect: new every time a new record is established, all stats will permanently increase corresponding to that achievement. Acceleration: the time race is a relentless pursuit between predator and prey. The holder of the throne must always move faster, increases all speed by 10%. Current record bonus +5 to all attributes. Do-hyun gives a satisfied smirk. Just as I predicted, these goblins. That chuckling expression of his is both terrifying and captivating. They look best only when they're chopped into pieces. Yubingong can't help but exclaim, "Good heavens, isn't this a heroic tier title?" Mihinchudi's eyes also sparkle. These additional attribute lines are truly rare to see. He thanks him profusely. "Thank you so much, big brother. Without you, we wouldn't have dared to dream of such amazing rewards." She follows up, "Thank you very much, Kaiser." Do-hyun gives a gentle smile and says, "It's nothing." Suddenly someone calls out to him, "Kaiser." Shieldesthebist looks at him, head slightly lowered, and asks, "Could you actually take a look at the names that were just recorded on the rankings?" The system displays the current rankings. First place, Shieldesthebist's team 29 minutes 58 seconds. Second place, Anonymous 35 minutes 11 seconds. Third place, Massacre's team 42 minutes 12 seconds. Fourth place, Other Teams 44 minutes 7 seconds. 10th place, Slayer's team 46 minutes 35 seconds. Shieldesthebist speaks to Do-hyun with an apologetic look. "I should have changed the party name beforehand." He hesitates, bowing his head. "I am truly sorry." Do-hyun scratches behind his ear with a sheepish laugh. "Ah," he thinks to himself, "actually having your name in the #1 spot on the rankings is a massive privilege." A flying red flag appears in his mind. They could even be scouted by the top 10 guilds thanks to the resounding achievements they just reached. Looking at Shieldesthebist's face, Do-hyun feels that even though this is just a beginner city dungeon, holding the top spot is still a significant milestone. He remembers that silhouette with the glowing golden eyes and, more importantly, being in a position even higher than Massacre. Shieldesthebist apologizes to Do-hyun again. "I'm so sorry for unintentionally causing trouble for you." He offers, "Whether it's monetary compensation or anything else, just ask and I'll do my best to pay you back." The corners of Do-hyun's mouth turn up into a slight smile as he says calmly, "It's okay." Shieldesthebist is very surprised to hear this. Do-hyun explains, "It was just an accident. Besides, the system automatically uses the leader's name for ranking registration anyway, and I didn't think I'd actually get first place myself." Do-hyun suddenly feels quite relieved. Whatever, it's just a name on a list. Glowing aura, attracting attention like that would just make me more tired. Immediately after, a greedy smile spreads across his face as he thinks, the only thing I care about is the reward. The system then displays the information for a greatsword. Do-yeon looks at it for a moment and wonders, this equipment set is called the Warrior Set. He analyzes it in his head, the quality ranges from rare to rare plus. These are the best items a player at the current level can possibly own. His pupils contract as his delighted smile reveals a flicker of his more sinister side. I've scored such high-quality items, how could I possibly be upset? He laughs while thinking, but he seems to forget the presence of those around him, making him look like a madman laughing to himself. Shieldesthebist asks worriedly, are you really okay? Do-yeon is once again snapped out of his inner demons. He blinks and looks around as if he doesn't understand what's been happening for the last few moments. Then he waves his hand and laughs it off, speaking normally again, yeah, I'm fine. So don't feel so overly guilty about it. Yubingong gives a sharp salute as if following an order and thanking him. Thank you, big brother, from now on I will be absolutely loyal to you. Mihinchudi cheers loudly, praising Kaiser as the best. Only Shieldesthebist is still lost in thought. He really is on a completely different level. The system displays a notification that the dungeon session will end shortly. Suddenly, a powerful surge of blue light appears, creating a three-dimensional spatial portal. Shieldesthebist turns and says, hey, Woojin. Yubingong replies, what is it? Shieldesthebist confesses, to be honest, when I read those posts praising Kaiser online, I just thought they were exaggerating. He admits, but now I understand clearly. Shieldesthebist watches Do-yeon's retreating back and says firmly, this is the true power of Kaiser. Do-yeon turns back and asks, aren't you coming? Shieldesthebist flusters, yes, I'm coming right now. Shieldesthebist quickly steps inside. Following him, everyone enters the spatial portal. The source of mana teleports them to another location. They arrive in the back alley of Alley City and enter an item shop. Yubingong exclaims, it looks completely different from the outside, doesn't it? Mihinchudi gapes in curiosity. It's like magic, how can the scenery be this different? Do-yeon looks around and is suddenly drawn to something. At the checkout counter is a person completely wrapped in a headscarf. He seems to be the shopkeeper but isn't very friendly to customers. He asks in a gruff voice, who do you think you are? He is Kalda the alchemist. Yubingong says warily, he looks pretty scary. Mihinchudi agrees, he looks like a creep. Shieldesthebist signals them to be quiet. SHH, stop judging people by their appearance. The man says, I hope you didn't come here to announce your resignation. Kalda adds, there are many people waiting to be saved, but I still need more blood for my research. Do-yeon firmly places a potion bottle containing a red liquid on the table. Seeing it, the man startles and says, is this mutant goblin warrior blood? Kalda seems to go frantic. You people actually found it, it's only been about 40 minutes. Do-yeon replies calmly, what you say is exactly right. Kalda shows a look of admiration. Unbelievable, taking down that mutant beast so quickly. The system then displays that the effect of the maximum favorability from the start title has been activated. The favorability index increases significantly, and the level of intimacy with Kalda rises sharply. You have completed the quest, Blood of the Mutant Goblin Warrior. Images of the rewarded items appear. The rewards include a gold coin, a large amount of experience, and a silver ring crafted by Kalda himself. You have leveled up. You have leveled up again. Each team member is promoted accordingly. Their systems notify them incessantly. You have passed Trial O. The ranking results for Trial O will not be saved. You can now travel to the main continent. You have received a reward, a low-tier skill draw card. You have received an additional random skill draw card for reaching level 10. Yubingong cheers joyfully. Finally, the main continent, here we come. Mihinchudi screams even louder. This is awesome! A series of system images are sent. You have achieved a reward for completing special conditions. You have acquired a pencil postcard from Kalda. Rare plus grade. Description, a postcard with Kalda's own handwriting preserved on it. Do-yeon looks at the reward and thinks, a special gift, huh? Alright, I can check that out later. He clicks on a system category. This is the most important part, the moment I've been waiting for since I left the Pantheon. A series of hidden cards appear on the screen. Then they are released through bursts of light. Each card hovers in the air. Do-yeon looks at them and thinks, compared to the Pantheon, this place seems a bit less solemn. Suddenly, he activates another skill shaped like a golden eye. making his own eyes blaze with a glowing metallic light. The system announces that the Eye of Truth skill has been activated. He thinks to himself, maybe because this is just a low-tier skill card, the gold cards are just flying around, there's nothing too spectacular to notice. The system reports, you have learned the skill charged/normal grade, restricted to the swordsman class. Description, you can dash in a designated direction while performing a sword swing. Effect, deals damage equivalent to 150% of attack power. The dash distance is proportional to movement speed. The higher the attack speed, the faster the skill is activated. Cooldown, 10 seconds. Do-Yun evaluates it. This charged/skill isn't bad at all. Do-Yun checks more information and smiles, remembering how he used to use it frequently back in Temrok. Even so, the real prize I'm aiming for is something else. Other cards are drawn from the system. Do-Yun believes it's the card that allows for a random skill draw ranging from normal to legendary grade. The system asks, do you want to use the random skill draw card now? Before he can react, the system notifies him, your login time has expired. You will be logged out in 5 seconds. Do-Yun lets out a startled, what? The game system explains the situation. Login time limit. This is a system established to prevent players from exhaustion or game addiction due to being too immersed in this hyper-realistic virtual world. He realizes he has lost track of real time. Has it really been 10 hours already? Only 3 seconds left on the countdown. The cards glow brightly. The system counts down to 2. He is so tense that sweat soaks through his shirt. The cards glow brighter and brighter. The system hits the final second. Do-Yun frantically reaches for the system panel as he begins to vanish from the area. The system announces, login duration has ended, performing forced disconnection. After a moment, 1, then 2, then 3 cards appear. Do-Yun stares at the screen, sweating profusely from the tension. The cards emit light just as the system hits 1. Do-Yun screams in horror as the system reports, your connection time is up. The system is performing disconnection. At this moment, inside the cryo chamber, Do-Yun has woken up after a long sleep, but he cannot move to get out. After a while, he suddenly lets out a desperate scream. Time passes until the next morning. Do-Yun is so anxious that even while sitting in his chair, he is shaking uncontrollably. The clock finally strikes 10:00 a.m. He gnashes his teeth and thinks, it worked. Then he returns to the cryo chamber and lies back down inside. The system immediately analyzes, performing retinal identification, authenticating ID card info, ID verification complete, data synchronization complete, establishing connection to the game, God of Savior. Do-Yun's consciousness is teleported to another dimension. Welcome back to the paradise of adventures. We wish you an exciting and memorable journey. Location, back alley of Alley City. The scene is an old town. Do-Yun stands fumbling around on a street corner. He is in an extremely tense state as he looks at the system screen. I need to check this as quickly as possible. At that moment, I definitely saw a golden light radiating. The text display shows a new skill he hasn't viewed yet. Opening skill storage. Inside, there are only the cards from earlier. Do-Yun lets out a sigh of relief, so that's how it is. He thought those glowing cards meant there was a problem and had been overthinking it. I thought it would be a legendary grade skill, but it turns out it wasn't what I expected. Anyway, my luck with item drops has been pretty good lately. Simultaneously, Do-Yun receives another new move, Backstab, heroic grade, restricted to the assassin class. Description, approach from behind the opponent to cause confusion and unleash a massive amount of damage. Effect, teleports behind the target within a certain range. At this time, the enemy will be marked for a duration and the skill can be reactivated once more before the mark disappears. When used again, the player will close in on the target once more and unleash a critical hit based on the damage accumulated on the mark. Cooldown, 50 seconds. He is slightly surprised by this practical move. Backstab, huh? In this old town, assassins are everywhere. This was originally the trademark signature move of the assassin class. It is the reason long-range players are always wary when facing one. They can strike at any time. Even if you try to maintain a safe distance, this remains a dominant skill that can close the gap in the blink of an eye. And yet, such a dangerous move has fallen into Do-Yun's hands. He realizes this and feels triumphant. But why did it end up in my hands? I just need to collect a few more things like this. His smile becomes increasingly twisted as dark thoughts fill his head. Whether it's PvP or monster hunting, I will definitely become a perfect damage dealer capable of crushing everything. Just then, 2 soldiers, a man and a woman, walk by talking. I've studied all the guides thoroughly, so just leave it all to me. Really? Of course. The man is startled when he sees Do-yun. He is hallucinating so much that his head feels like it's about to explode, and his stance is wobbly and unstable. A puff of mist escapes Do-yun's mouth and his eyes are blood red, looking like a demon from hell. Do-yun's bizarre appearance strikes fear into both of them. The man says, "That guy seems a bit crazy, doesn't he?" The girl agrees, "We should probably take another path to be safe." Then they tuck tail and run as if being chased by hounds. Do-yun only now realizes he's standing there. He has no idea why they ran. He looks at the system screen, feeling happy. "Anyway, I've got a new skill. Now should I try wearing those items I just received?" In his bag are various pieces of armor. Mutant Goblin Warrior's red leather armor, Mutant Goblin Warrior's shoulder guards. Mutant Goblin Warrior's greatsword, the silver ring refined by Calda. With all this equipment, I won't look like a weakling who's easily bullied anymore. Do-yun doesn't hesitate and equips them right then and there. He is itching for a fight. Well then, time to move to the main continent, shall we? The system complies with his wish. You will be teleported to Raven, the first city of the main continent, shortly. Once you set foot on the main continent, you will not be able to return to Ali City. A blue energy portal opens and the countdown begins. 5. Do-yun turns back to look at the town one last time. "I just left yesterday and didn't even get to say goodbye to anyone." His companions for this stage, Shieldus Thebist, Yubingong, and Mihinchudi, he silently thanks them. "Anyway, I was starting to get a bit attached to them." There's a slight feeling of regret. The clock doesn't wait and counts down to 2. Do-yun brushes it aside. "Whatever, if it's meant to be, we'll definitely meet again." He steps inside just as the system announces, teleporting to the main continent. Do-yun is teleported through the main gate of a large square. All players who complete their training in Ali City carry great expectations as they take their first steps onto the main continent. People are chatting happily with one another. He notes that unlike Ali City, which was divided into separate servers by country, this is where players from everywhere converge to form parties together. Looking at the landscape ahead and the challenges that await, Do-yun is ready to step into the first starting point of the journey. Raven, the starting city. Suddenly, there is the sound of soldiers shouting, "Everyone, get out of the way." The Knights of Raven have returned after successfully completing their mission. A bound prisoner is being escorted in. "Let me go right now," the soldiers shout. "Stay still, you shameless scoundrel." The system then displays a quest for Do-yun. Upon entering the main continent, locked systems will be opened. Beginner benefits will officially disappear. Instead, you can experience many other features such as the arena, duels, and workshops. Raven is the city that symbolizes the start of a new journey. We hope you enjoy your adventure on the new stage unfolding on the main continent. Pro tip: if you become a victim of a crime in Raven City, do not hesitate to report it to the city guards immediately. After reading it, Do-yun is a bit surprised. They say the real game only begins when you set foot on the main continent. They certainly weren't lying. Unexpectedly, a stout man approaches him with an invitation. "Hey there, brother, come try some beer, a famous Raven specialty. That red suit really looks good on you." A seafood shop owner and a professional-looking chef also come to invite him. "Visit our shop when you have time. I'll definitely give you plenty of freebies." For a man, nothing is better than a hot bowl of guinea pig soup. Do-yun sighs and thinks, "Now I understand why many people forget about hunting just to spend time sightseeing in this city." He instinctively replies, "That sounds great." But his main mission must be completed. Do-yun slaps his face to snap himself out of it. "Gotta stay focused. I can enjoy those things later." Do-yun draws his sword and thinks, "Well then, how about I go for a test hunt first?" The area is full of nothing but goblins, and they are all taken down by him. Right now, Do-yun is at the Raven Plains. He is fighting these goblins blocking his path. The system is busy calculating points. Warrior set attribute activated. Gain the intimidation effect when facing goblin species. Deals an extra 7% damage against all goblin types, +2 to all stats. Do-yun's power grows stronger and stronger. He thinks confidently, no equipment is more effective than this set for handling goblin. The system also helps him analyze the goblins being pressured by the intimidation effect thanks to the warrior set attributes. The red goblin is feeling extreme fear. The blue goblin's fighting spirit has completely collapsed. Do-yun deploys the charged slash skill. Without much effort, he slashes all the goblins to pieces in an instant. The system calculates points again, dealt an additional amount of secondary damage due to the warrior set effect. You have defeated a red goblin. You have successfully defeated a blue goblin. After a while, Do-yun's feet touched the ground for at most 10 seconds. His speed was so great that they couldn't even manage a single counter-strike. Instead, they all collapsed in a heap. The system adds points to his items. Great sword attack power increased after finishing an enemy. Do-yun laughs with glee. This feeling is exhilarating. This warrior set is truly top tier. He thinks to himself, this set already had high base stats and now it has an extra 7% bonus damage. A weapon that grows stronger after every hunt. Luck keeps coming his way, making him feel like he's exploding with joy. This is too good. The feeling of serving up a beatdown to low-level monsters is amazing. Do-yun looks at the panel and smiles. I'm also completing quests smoothly, just a little more effort and I'll level up in no time. Suddenly, his predatory instincts flare up as he senses something is off. What is that? He glances over and sees a cloaked, invisible figure lunging toward him, holding a knife. Do-yun finds it strange. A human. The figure rushes in, intending to stab Do-yun. He thinks, isn't that the warrior set? There's no prey tastier than a wealthy rookie. Suddenly, the knife in his hand pauses for a second. So, Do-yun stood perfectly still. The enemy lunged with lightning speed, sneering, thanks for the hearty meal. But he didn't see it coming. Do-yun simply tilted his blade, blocking the strike with ease. The enemy's invisibility seal shattered instantly. Do-yun's killing intent surged. He glared at the man and muttered, "What the hell is this?" Seeing that Do-yun had the upper hand, Assassination Boy quickly leaped back to create some distance. To Do-yun's surprise, the guy had backup. "What do you think you're doing, you bastards? Finish him off already." An archer lunged from above, firing downward. But with a swift motion, Do-yun sliced both arrows out of the air. Yet another man wielding an axe charged forward manically. Do-yun used his sword to intercept the blow, and tossed him aside with a powerful parry. In a flash, he spun the hilt in his grip, and cut the man down on the spot, leaving him no room to dodge. Tree it then end. Assassination Boy stood frozen at the sight. Damn it. Assassination Boy gritted his teeth, desperate to escape. He thought to himself that this made no sense. How could a rookie possibly? But unfortunately for him, Do-yun had already triggered a skill. A mark appeared over the target. Just as he turned to run, Do-yun was already standing right in front of him, waiting. Do-yun merely rested his blade on his shoulder, yet his aura was overwhelming, like a god rising from the depths of hell. He let out a chuckle and gave a warm greeting. "Lost your way, kid." To Do-yun, no matter where you go, there are always those who refuse to listen. And the gaming world was no exception. The scene of an arena appeared. These weren't official matches, but rather illegal slaughters. In other words, these people were known as peekers, player killers. They had existed back in Temroke and were now running rampant in God of Savior. Some did it for fun, some for loot, and others to vent their anger. Regardless of the reason, if you asked anyone who the most hated people were, 9 out of 10 would say it's those who hunt newbies. Do-yun knew they usually targeted those who had just left the starter village to kill them and steal all their assets. Exactly like the guy standing blocked before him now. At this moment, his eyes glowed with a spark of ruthlessness. He smiled and asked, "Are you lost?" The man's system notified him that the mark had vanished. Assassination Boy looked up in terrified confusion. A backstab skill? His eyes were filled with dread. How on earth could a swordsman use a move like that? In a single heartbeat, the man was eliminated. Do-yun's system reported, "You have finished off the player named Assassination Boy. You have defeated the player named Triathen." Just like that, Do-yun took them down one by one, the notifications ringing out in rapid succession. "You have defeated the player named Canthitme." These players had been flagged as evil by the system. Your actions were determined to be legitimate self-defense, so your karma points will not increase. Looking at the screen, he thought the mechanics here worked exactly like they did in Temro. Do-yun's gaze was strangely calm. Perhaps those newbie privileges were just the exception. Do-yun remembered his old teammates and how unusually kind the people there were. He looked at the bodies strewn before him. The reality here was that it was always full of such terrible people. Holding the items in his hand, Do-yun didn't pay them much mind. "First, I need to collect the quest rewards." The system chimed, "You have completed the quest, slay goblins. Reward, 70 silver and experience points." "You have completed the quest, the hunter's plea. You received an additional 80 silver. Experience points and a beast necklace. Your level has increased." And reached level 17, the path to the west gate is now open. The gate finally swung wide. He flashed a triumphant smile. finally made it to the west gate. Do-yun observed his surroundings and confirmed this was the Raven West Forest area. He gathered some info and learned that this was a hunting ground so dangerous that even NPCs issued warnings about it. This place was the complete opposite of the East Gate, a dense forest with limited visibility, crawling with goblins and giant insects. Ambushes from goblin packs were frequent. Images showed other warriors struggling against the goblins and massive monster bees, along with attacks from the insect monsters from blind spots between rocky crevices and tree trunks. Do-yun understood clearly how dangerous this place was. Thus, the West Forest was extremely unforgiving. And a rule had gradually formed: you had to form a party of at least 3 people. At this time, right in front of Raven City's West Gate, many players were gathering to form parties, creating a bustling scene. They were calling out to one another, "Join the party, 1 tank and 2 DPS already waiting." Another was saying, "Looking for 1 more melee DPS." Someone else just pleaded, "I really need help to get through this area." Another team was at a standstill, leaving the leader deep in thought. "Our group is only missing a healer, there are just so few of them." A blond man standing nearby crossed his arms, looking annoyed. "Healers are a rare breed, nobody enjoys playing that class and it's a nightmare to level up." A large, black-haired man suddenly pointed toward the gate. "Hey, look at that guy," he let out a scoff. "Another fool, he just walked right in, there's always someone like him." Do-yun's back was so prominent among the crowd that even from a distance he caught their attention. A light brown-haired man judged him with contempt. "Unbelievable. Even the top-ranked players have to party up before they dare enter the West Forest." They huddled together, talking behind his back. "Who does he think he is, going in solo?" Do-yun heard it all but only gave them a dismissive smirk. Meanwhile, deep in the thick, desolate woods, a crimson hue blanketed the sky. A decisive slash into a goblin tore through the silence. The system notified, "You have defeated a forest red goblin." Do-yun charged ahead with his greatsword. Wherever he swung, goblins fell. One leaped down from above. Unfortunately for it, he managed to plant his sword in the ground in time, and rolled behind its back. Then with a single kick, he sent it flying far away. The goblin tumbled several times, nearly planting its head into the dirt. It struggled to pull itself back up, but luck wasn't on its side. Before it could do a thing, he slashed it out of existence. Suddenly, he sensed something flying toward him from behind. Do-yun spun around and swung his sword, deflecting the arrow. The goblin archer perched in the tree was momentarily startled by his sharp reflexes. Before it could hide, he lunged at it with the great blade in hand. The massive blade swept through, severing its upper body. Looking back, only the lower half remained in a charging stance. The greatsword fell to the ground with the momentum. Red goblins appeared from nowhere in large numbers. Seeing him with no weapon in hand, the system issued an emergency warning. The effects of the warrior set are currently disabled. They lunged desperately like a mob. Do-yun handled it calmly. Against trash mobs like these, he didn't even need the full gear set. He still had an axe in hand, the system reported. Weapon restrictions lifted thanks to the Weapon Master title. Basic weapon skills unlocked via the Explorer trait. Skill unlocked performing backstab. He lunged forward at a speed faster than light, appearing behind the goblin in an instant. With a decisive strike, he ended its life, the system reported. "You have used the basic axe skill, smash." The others surged forward in droves, but he didn't move, standing his ground firmly. With just one hand, Do-yun swung the axe and wiped them all out. Every goblin was cut down with a single clean stroke. Do-yun chuckled with delight. "Using an axe feels pretty great too." The system chimed, "You have defeated another forest red goblin." Kill notifications from the system continued. "You have defeated yet another red goblin." The images showed the red goblins slumped on the ground in a pathetic state. The system showed his level up stats. Axe mastery has increased to level 2. He walked over to pick up his greatsword. Do-yun rechecked his stats and items as well as his rewards, smiling to himself. So the goblin hunting quest is finished. Now to find the necklace. But before he could finish his sentence, Do-yun sensed danger and spun around. A giant monster centipede suddenly appeared. It hissed, spitting out sticky slime everywhere. Do-yun's face briefly went blank. This is bad. The surroundings grew unusually chaotic. Birds flew off in all directions as the forest centipede lunged manically. It aimed straight for Do-yun. Seeing this, he let out a roar. Without a moment's hesitation, Do-yeon drew his sword with lightning speed. His eyes glowed with a red glint as he glared at the centipede. At that exact moment, its eyes also turned bright red as it hissed. Do-yeon didn't hesitate and swung his sword with full force, slicing into the centipede's body. Instantly, it spat a strange liquid from its mouth. The centipede slammed into the ground, creating a deafening crash. Do-yeon remained on high alert, staring intently at it. Suddenly, the centipede surged back up, its fiery eyes fixed on him. Do-yeon was slightly taken aback. Before he could react, the centipede lunged to attack him. Luckily, he reacted in time to raise his blade and block it. Do-yeon stared it down with a dead serious expression. Suddenly, Do-yeon summoned another weapon and muttered in disgust, "You're ugly and filthy. Why do you insist on shoving that face so close to me?" With that, he struck the centipede directly in the face. It hissed in agony. Taking the opportunity, he aimed straight for it, and followed up with a fatal blow. After this strike, it showed no more signs of life and slumped to the ground. Immediately, the system displayed a series of notifications. You have defeated a giant forest centipede. Sword mastery has increased to level 10. You have leveled up. Do-yeon let out a sharp breath. He leaned heavily on his sword, planting it into the ground. The system windows kept popping up. Player, Kaiser. Level 19, Health 17350, Class Final Explorer, Title 3 Maximum Affinity from the start, First Slayer. Throne of the Speed Race. Strength 35 plus 38, Agility 35 plus 37, Stamina 5 plus 37, Perception 22 plus 36, Mana 5 plus 34. So I've gained 2 more levels. Do-yeon stared pensively at the notification panel. Although the process was grueling, this leveling speed was quite decent. Most of the quests had been cleared. He rested his chin on his hand, thinking to himself, now all that's left is... The system suddenly sent a new notification. Lost necklace, rank common plus. Description: this is a request from Camellia, a little girl whose precious necklace was taken by a stray cat. Help her find it in the area outside the west gate. Lost necklace 01. Reward 1 gold, a certain amount of experience, and a small gift from Camellia. Penalty: Camellia's affinity may decrease. Time remaining 1 minute 24 seconds. Do-yeon was startled to receive this. This was the only quest with a common plus rank. Having received the quest, Do-yeon said flatly, actually, this quest isn't exactly what you'd call difficult. Its location was already clearly marked on the map from the start, so my job is simply to go there and pick it up. With that, he left. The next day, chatter and notifications rang out. All right, everyone, please line up in an orderly fashion. Everyone's in a hurry, so no cutting in line. Suddenly, a man shouted aggressively, "Hey, don't push people like that." The person across from him argued back, "I didn't even touch you, what are you talking about?" Do-yeon looked around skeptically. Is that tree over there where the necklace is supposed to respawn? Luckily, the line isn't as long as I thought. If it were any longer, I'd probably have to wait ages for my turn. Suddenly, Do-yeon heard voices drifting from afar. Hey, have you heard the news about the killer targeting low-level hunters? He glanced over at 2 men standing not far away. Is it that damn assassin? I know him. He went around doing whatever he wanted, so it's only natural he's paying the price now. The blonde man, after hearing the black-haired man speak, replied, I heard he kept rambling on about someone named Kaiser or something, right? Do-yeon frowned and thought to himself, why is my name being dragged into this? On the other side, those 2 still didn't notice Do-yeon and continued gossiping. Is that guy even real? He's probably just a die-hard fan. I mean, the guy was raving about a swordsman who can use assassin backstab skills, something that sounds so ridiculous, who would actually believe it? No idiot would believe such a far-fetched story. Standing behind them, Do-yeon felt a bit worried and thought he should probably stay quiet and lie low for a while. Do-yeon's gaze darkened as he thought, a swordsman who can master assassin skills and possesses 6 different traits. There's no way the major guilds would ever leave someone like that alone. He immediately thought of the worst-case scenarios. Some might try to recruit me, but those who want to nip me in the bud will definitely be more numerous. Especially if those top guilds have old members from Temrok. If they can't have me, they'll find every way to destroy me because that's just how they operate. After a moment of rest, Do-yeon found the necklace. The system quickly flashed. You have successfully collected the lost necklace. Please deliver this necklace directly to Camellia. Do-yeon gripped the necklace tightly. It was still too early to reveal himself. The scene shifted back to Raven. Suddenly, a clear voice rang out, oh, wonderful, this is exactly my necklace. I really can't thank you enough. If it weren't for your help, I probably never would have found it. Camellia looked at him with eyes shimmering with gratitude as he stood before her. At the same time, the system notified, you have excellently completed the lost necklace quest. Your rewards are 1 gold coin and a certain amount of experience points plus a small gift from Camellia. You have leveled up. You have reached level 20 and received a random skill draw card. Suddenly, Camellia held a box out to Doyun and said softly, "Although this is my most precious treasure, since you were so kind, I'm giving it to you." The system analyzed Camellia's small gift. Camellia has a hobby of collecting strange objects. This is a random box containing the most valuable item in her collection. No one knows what's actually inside. Rank, common plus. Doyun knelt down and reached out to pat the girl's head. "All right, thank you. Next time be careful and don't lose it again." Hearing him, Camellia replied obediently, "Yes, sir, thank you so much." The girl's face couldn't hide her joy. Suddenly, the system sent a barrage of notifications. The effect of the maximum affinity from the start title has been triggered. Affinity is currently rising incredibly fast. Camellia's affinity toward you has skyrocketed. After handing the necklace to Camellia, Doyun left. "Goodbye, mister." He turned slightly and smiled at the girl. It was probably because she was so young that her affinity rose so easily. He walked down the street thinking, now I need to get to work on the next quest. The system sent the quest to him. Conquer the dungeon. Rank, rare. Description: Zirina, who is always wary of the West Forest, fears the monsters will grow stronger if the dungeon is left abandoned for too long. Locate the entrance outside the West Gate 01. Completion reward: 10 gold coins, a large amount of experience, and a low-level skill draw card. Penalty: failure may disappoint Zirina. Time limit: 48 hours. Doyun thought to himself that since the reward included a skill draw card, he absolutely couldn't miss out on such a profitable quest. Doyun remembered the scene. If talking about dungeons at the West Gate, these 2 locations were the most prominent: the Goblin Chieftain's Lair and the Ant Tunnel. His gaze lowered slightly, considering the warrior set he was wearing. Going to the Goblin Dungeon would offer more advantages. But ironically, both of these places were mandatory party dungeons. If possible, he didn't want to show off his special abilities too early. At this time, at the Goblin Chieftain's Lair, everyone was calling out. Looking for a mage, fire mages preferred, only accepting level 20 and up. Buying all kinds of items at the highest market price. On-site weapon repairs, anyone need their gear fixed. Doyun walked up and scanned his surroundings, noticing that even production-class players had gathered here. Just then, a man approached a soldier and said, "I'm a rogue." But the soldier immediately rejected him, saying, "Our group doesn't take rogues, please know your place." Another soldier heard this and argued, "Shouldn't it be fine as long as we have the same goal of defeating the Goblin Chieftain?" But the first soldier insisted, "No, it's better if you don't show up here at all." At that moment near Mayan, people were crowding around and pleading, "Mage, please join our team. We're all level 20 with full gear. Please join us." "Come with us, miss." Doyun observed the scene and judged that they were only lurking around to find mages. It made sense because in God of Savior, the value of a class is dictated by the boss's characteristics. In this dungeon at least, mages were true kings and gods. The dilemma was that swordsmen were also considered trash here, so no one paid them any mind. Thinking of this, his face grew gloomy, but then a voice called out, "Hey, brother in the warrior set." The voice was friendly. "If you haven't found a party you like yet, do you want to go on a run with us?" Doyun looked blankly at the man in front of him. "You probably know I'm just a swordsman, right?" Bastard Sword, a paladin, and a mage smiled at Doyun. "Of course we know. Our speed is already high, but we're doing this run for a quest, so your class doesn't really matter much." He thought intently to himself, "Something isn't right here. Should I play along with them and see what happens?" Having decided, Doyun scratched his head and looked at them. "If you're willing to let me tag along, I'd appreciate it." Seeing this, the paladin immediately replied, "Then I'll send you a group invite right now." A notification popped up. A party with player Bastard Sword has been established. Information appeared before his eyes. Doyun. Bastard Sword level 24, Ultimate 10, Class Archmagicap level 24, Paladin level 24, Kaiser level 20. Doyun frowned and thought, these guys definitely recognized my true identity. Flashing back to before Bastard Sword met Doyun, he had looked at him and asked, "Is that really him?" The paladin replied, "Kaiser, the one wearing the combat armor and carrying the greatsword." The mage quickly added, "It's definitely him. Who else around here looks like that, right?" Hearing that, Bastard Sword gave a scheming smile. Indeed, that kind of gear is rarely seen. After Doyun accepted their invite, the group entered the cave. The system introduced the rare grade lair of the Goblin Chieftain. Type, normal. Description, once a brave warrior and a legend of the Blue Goblin tribe, he left the tribe due to a curse and took refuge here. Limit, 4 people. Level limit, level 24 and below. Doyun's group moved deep inside. Everywhere they went, goblin corpses lay scattered. At the same time, a notification rang out, Red Goblin Scout has been defeated. The scout's death was reported to the leader. After sweeping through for a while, Bastard Sword spoke up smugly, "Easy, this is simple." The paladin standing nearby agreed, "Yeah, easy as pie." Do-yun stood behind and silently evaluated them. "Not bad, their power is quite stable and the team coordination is very good." Suddenly the system rang out, "The chieftain is frightened and is deploying troops. Everyone prepare for battle." As the words ended, from deep within the cave, glowing red eyes fixed upon the group. Bastard Sword said confidently, "Can you handle this battle, Kaiser?" The paladin also smiled at him. "If it looks dangerous, we'll jump in to save you immediately." The mage then added, "Think of this as a chance to practice coordination. Give it a shot. If anything happens, we'll help right away." Do-yun's cold gaze swept over the three of them. "So they want to test my skills, huh? Fine, I'll play along for a bit." Thinking this, he slowly stepped forward. He reached out and drew his sword. In an instant, Do-yun charged straight inside. The system announced that the skill Vanguard Slash had been used. In just a split second, the goblins fell one after another. Seeing this, Bastard Sword smirked. "It really is him." The paladin followed up, "We found the right guy." Suddenly, Bastard Sword asked the paladin, "What do you think?" He replied, "Not bad at all." The paladin watched his every move and gave an assessment. "He dodges critical strikes very well. Even though he's lugging a greatsword, his speed is still quite fast." Bastard Sword observed pensively from a distance. "With gear like that, he doesn't need to fear anyone in this area." Suddenly, the paladin spoke up, "But I still feel like something is off." Bastard Sword looked at him in confusion. "Off where?" He provided an analysis. "You're telling me an assassin was defeated by a guy who only knows how to rely on gear like him, high damage and fast speed? I grant you that. But an assassin is one of the best PvP classes with stealth and paralyzing poison. And they still lost a 3v1. The mage standing behind interrupted, "Why overthink it? Our job is just to deal with him anyway." Bastard Sword patted the paladin's shoulder. "That's right, let's finish this quickly. Once this job is done, our debt is settled." Hearing that, he gave a scheming smile. "Okay, shall we start the operation then?" Bastard Sword gave instructions, "Remember to keep your straight face, just act natural." The paladin replied confidently, "Don't worry about that." On the other side, Do-yun was still seriously dealing with the goblin. Seeing this, the paladin pretended to run over. "Kaiser, you're amazing." Bastard Sword also stepped up to join in. "We only invited you to be safe, but I have a feeling you could solo this whole place yourself." Seeing this, Do-yun also played along. "It's nothing, everyone here is skilled." Bastard Sword and the paladin continued to pretend. "How did we recruit someone so talented? That's all thanks to my eye for people." Standing to the side and seeing their faces, Do-yun silently judged, to leave a teammate to fight alone and still act with such a shameless, brazen face. He stared at Bastard Sword. "Depending on the situation, they might abandon me, and if I die, they'll definitely strip all my gear." Immediately, Bastard Sword smiled and exclaimed, "All right, that's enough resting. Shall we move on? Let's go." Do-yun replied neutrally, "Sounds good." The paladin added, "Great." Bastard Sword, full of malice, thought to himself, "I'll quietly send you on your way when the chance comes." Do-yun also looked at him with determination. "That won't be easy." Before long, the group headed further inside. They split up to eliminate the goblins. Do-yun, exuding a powerful aura, wiped out the surrounding goblins. Suddenly, Bastard Sword and the mage over here had a conflict. They whispered to each other, "Hey, aim properly." "No, I clearly aimed correctly." But that goblin suddenly... The three of them seemingly intended to eliminate Do-yun. Over here, Do-yun continued to play along with them. "I intentionally left my back open and they couldn't even do anything. Maybe I should wait a bit longer." Just then, the system sent a notification, "Boss room has opened." The door in front of them slowly creaked open. The goblin chieftain detected the intruders. A surge of aura radiated before the group. An elite army of red goblins tried to block the enemy's path. Red Goblin Elite. Title: Elite Monster. Type: Goblin. Characteristic: Tenacious. Description: Among the Red Goblin soldiers, these are the most well-trained elite units. Elite goblins with hideous fangs appeared. They gathered momentum and charged straight toward Bastard Sword's group. He shouted in panic, "Kai, please deal with these elites for a moment. After that, we will." Before he could finish, the elite goblins closed in. Bastard Sword didn't see Do-yun and screamed, "Kaiser!" Bastard Sword's face was now completely contorted. "What the hell, where did that bastard go?" The paladin also exclaimed in panic, "Hey, did he find out?" Suddenly, the mage pointed ahead. look in front of you. Bastard Sword looked up in shock. The elite goblins had charged in, and Bastard Sword had to lunge forward to block them. The paladin saw this and also lunged forward to help. He shouted loudly, "I'll hold them back. Everyone finish them off quickly." Hearing that, the mage quickly replied, "Got it." But before she could react, a giant object lunged straight down toward her. The mage's eyes went wide when she saw the scene before her. A giant foot appeared. From the doorway, the goblin chieftain emerged. Goblin chieftain. Title: Rare Dungeon Boss. Type: Goblin. Characteristics: Cowardly, self-protective, selfish, vengeful. Description: A goblin carrying the bloodline of the greatest goblin war god of ancient times. However, over time that bloodline has weakened. He cannot hide his cowardly nature and cannot even control his own weight. Even so, he is still the chieftain of this tribe, one who can go berserk for the benefit of his comrade. The paladin gasped out with all his strength, "We'll draw its attention first, so in the meantime you should..." Suddenly, the mage stammered in shock. "That bastard, how could he?" Doyan slowly approached them from behind. Bastard Sword's group turned their gaze toward him. That assassin Doyan let out a sinister smile. "You guys are his friends, right?" At this point, the mage spoke up in panic. "Wait a minute, it's true we are enemies, but at least let's clear this stage together first. After all, we have to cooperate to pass." Doyan's expression didn't change at all as he said casually, "That actually sounds reasonable." Her face turned pale as she looked at him. "Yes, exactly. Just focus on clearing the dungeon first." Doyan didn't say a word, his eyes glowing red. A single thrust pierced through her body. He showed a face full of contempt toward Bastard Sword's group. "The thing is, I don't feel like it." The system immediately popped up a series of notifications. "You have defeated player Ultimate 10 Class Archmagacap. This player was identified as a villain, therefore your infamy will not increase." Doyan shouldered his sword and smirked, thinking, "I knew it. These guys are all just butchers." Then he immediately teleported away from the encirclement. "Good thing I used background to hide beforehand." Doyan hid behind a rock and observed silently. "I had a hunch, but I didn't expect this move to be effective on corpses too." Bastard Sword roared, "You lunatic, you killed the mage too. Do you want us all to die together?" He smirked mockingly. "Do you guys know what my motto is?" He was a bit confused and turned his head. "What?" Doyan swung his hand to summon a dagger. "I never shake hands with trash that lurks around to stab me in the back." He added with a cruel smile, "Cooperating with people like you only leads to a rotten end." Bastard Sword turned pale with shock. "That's that bratty assassin's dagger, how do you have it?" Doyan brandished the dagger and asked back, "It's your friend's item, so you recognize it instantly, huh? You knew it at a single glance." He couldn't believe it and blurted out, "Unbelievable. How can a swordsman use that weapon? No, forget that. What are you going to do with it?" Bastard Sword gnashed his teeth as he blocked the elite goblin's sword and growled a threat. "If you kill us, do you think you can finish this quest alone?" Thinking of the goblin chieftain, his voice dropped. "Do you know what the goblin chieftain's defense skill actually blocks? It counters all physical attacks." At this point, Bastard Sword mocked irritably, "That's why in this dungeon, mages are the best. What can someone like you do with that gimpy dagger?" The only response was his casual voice, "Status effect." Hearing that, he paused in doubt. "What?" Doyan raised the dagger and laughed mockingly. "Do you think status effects are just for show?" Bastard Sword was stunned by that laugh. "Are you crazy? You plan to finish the goblin with just the garbage bleed amount on the weapon." His eyes flashed with cunning. "If it were just normal bleed, you'd be right, it wouldn't be enough." Seeing that look, he instinctively blurted out, "What do you mean?" As soon as the words left his mouth, the place where Doyan stood was left with only a blur. In the blink of an eye, he flashed past Bastard Sword and the others. Even so, he still cursed angrily, "What can this bit of damage do?" But before he could finish, a notification popped up. "The stat difference is overwhelming. Activating Assassin Dagger effect." The system displayed another notification screen. "Suffering from bleed status. Damage surged due to overwhelming stat difference. HP has dropped below 50%. Bastard Sword, vomiting blood, froze as he heard this. "Overwhelming stats, my level is higher, so what does this mean?" He looked at Doyan in despair and wondered, "Even if he has top-tier gear, I'm level 24 and he's only level 20. How big must the stat gap be for the bleed effect to be this terrifyingly strong?" Sensing that gaze, he thought silently, "You wouldn't understand. This bleed skill is something I got from the level 20 gacha ticket." At the same time, another info panel appeared. "Bleed, rare grade, requirement, rogue type, effect. When the next attack lands after using the skill, causes bleeding status for 10 seconds. If there is a large stat gap with the target, the effect may be reduced. Duration and damage will be adjusted accordingly." Cooldown 15 seconds, Do-yeon thought with a bit of doubt. I'm quite surprised it can stack. He seemed lost in his thoughts. Just like in Temroke or CTC, status effects usually don't stack if used by the same class. Suddenly, Do-yeon looked up and gave a self-satisfied smile. But who would have guessed there'd be someone like me using a rogue skill on an assassin's weapon? Who would know? At that moment, Bastard Sword spoke up. What kind of bleed is this? It's a hack. He clutched his wound weakly and demanded, "You're a hacker, aren't you?" Just as he finished speaking, Bastard Sword collapsed, followed by the notification sound. You have defeated player Bastard Sword. This player was identified as a villain, therefore your infamy will not increase. You have defeated a red goblin elite. He let out a long sigh of boredom and thought, honestly, these guys only ever say that one thing. While he was thinking, the paladin's roar suddenly rang out. He gnashed his teeth in fury and cursed silently, damn it. Looking at the two cold corpses of his comrades, the paladin wondered frantically how things had come to this. Where did I go wrong? As if thinking of something, he froze in horror. No, from the very beginning. We shouldn't have gotten involved in this. Just as the paladin was calculating, a sharp blade suddenly swept by. I have to escape right now. In the blink of an eye, Do-yeon flashed past his body. The paladin spat out a mouthful of blood followed by a system screen, suffering from bleed status. Damage surged due to massive stat difference. Then the system showed his HP had dropped below 10%. Seeing this, he asked in shock, what? The next second, the paladin collapsed along with the system notification. You have defeated player High Paladin. Followed by a series of info popping up. This player was identified as a villain, therefore your infamy will not increase. You have defeated a red goblin elite. Do-yeon only asked coldly, the damage is pretty decent, isn't it? After all, I did dump 15 points into strength. I hope it was worth it. In another corner, the goblin chieftain was observing him. When it saw the corpses of its own kind, it let out a few growls. Then the goblin chieftain roared, followed by a notification. The goblin chieftain is going berserk because its subordinates were killed. The roar immediately caught Do-yeon's attention. Seeing it charging frantically, he told himself boredly. Almost forgot this guy was still standing here. A spark of interest suddenly flashed in Do-yeon's eyes. Well then, shall we have some fun? In an instant, the goblin chieftain's massive frame closed in on him. Do-yeon didn't hesitate and ducked to dodge. He lunged and gave it a kick. The goblin chieftain let out a cry from the blow. Seeing its body fall, Do-yeon gave a small, triumphant smile. As soon as Do-yeon touched the ground, the goblin chieftain slammed into the dirt. But his eyes suddenly froze in surprise. Hidden in the hazy smoke were glowing golden pupils. Just as it sprang back up, a bright red screen appeared. The goblin chieftain's defense skill has been activated. Do-yeon didn't stop for a second and lunged forward with his sword. He flashed past, leaving a cold blade trail that tore through the giant body. The system continuously displayed, suffering from bleed status, HP has dropped below 40%, HP has dropped below 30%. Suddenly it jerked back, its eyes full of fear mixed with anger pinned on Do-yeon. He gave a wicked smile and clicked his tongue as a reminder. Alright, let's end this here. Sensing the overwhelming killing intent, the goblin chieftain let out a horrific shriek. Without hesitation, it turned and fled in a panic. Do-yeon frowned slightly while activating a skill, using skill backstab. Meanwhile, the goblin chieftain was fleeing in terror. But in the blink of an eye, he caught up to it. Do-yeon smirked and let out a disdainful laugh. Where do you think you're going? That face immediately caused it to shriek in terror. Only a streak of bright red blood remained on the cliff wall. With a loud crash, the system screen appeared again. You have defeated the dungeon boss, the Goblin King. Congratulations on clearing the dungeon. Achievement has been recorded in the adventure log. You have leveled up. A series of information appeared. Dagger skill proficiency reached level 5. Goblin King's ultra-durable leather belt. Rare grade. Requirement, level 20. Restriction, a leather belt from the Goblin King. It was made exceptionally strong to support his fat belly. He held the belt high in his hand with excitement. Nice, this is pretty high quality. I was lacking a belt too, truly the right item at the right time. Do-yeon didn't hesitate and operated the screen. Goblin King's ultra-durable leather belt. Unequipping will reduce constitution by 1. Strength increases by 1, constitution increases by 2. Receiving the result, he smiled with delight and thought, not bad at all. If we're counting the time, I might have made it onto the rankings, but whatever. Not every dungeon has a time limit. After all, not every place requires a speed race. However, Do-yeon suddenly turned his head back, feeling a bit of regret, but looking at that shimmering shield. He pensively assessed that he still had the pile of loot dropped by those players. The system notification panel lit up before his eyes. Player loot collected. Silver shield, a shield made from silver iron and extremely rare ore. Rank, rare, requirement level 20, restriction, warrior class shield users. Special effect, the more divine power it absorbs, the higher its damage reduction capability. Do-yeon marveled with interest, a rare item. These guys must have spent a decent amount of cash to get their hands on this. The notification content suddenly shifted. Bastard Sword's training sword, an iron sword used by the hero Bastard Sword to practice sword speed. Rank, rare plus, requirement, level 20, restriction, swordsman class, special effect, has a chance to trigger a slight speed boost when attacking. Seeing this, his eyes darted over with curiosity. Bastard Sword's training sword, huh? Recalling that face, Do-yeon let out a sarcastic laugh. Quite the face ID enthusiast, that Bastard Sword guy. Though now that name doesn't mean a thing anymore. Nevertheless, he brushed the thought aside and began calculating. Better sell these for some cash. The system popped up again, catching Do-yeon's attention. Skill, God's Eyes, has been activated. Noticing a bright red glow in the distance, he wondered skeptically, what's that over there? Do-yeon strode deeper, both curious and cautious. A stealth skill? If so, this glow is way too strong, or maybe a rare medicinal herb. Immediately after the system updated, you have discovered a hidden dungeon, the Dark Elf Mage's hideout. What met his eyes was a deep, dark portal. You are the first person to find this hidden dungeon. Title received, Talented Explorer. Do-yeon stood dazed for a moment, repeating, a hidden dungeon. Countless bits of information flooded his mind. There are many types of dungeons in this game. From party dungeons and solo bosses to labyrinths, special dungeons, and event dungeons. An image of a tightly chained door appeared in his mind. But among them, the rarest and least known type is the hidden dungeon. Do-yeon felt drawn toward the abyss-like portal before him. Even specialized explorer classes find them hard to locate. Not only are they situated in completely nonsensical spots, but they also require incredibly bizarre entry conditions. The light flickered. A series of info points were instantly updated. Confirmed, only one survivor in the dungeon. Confirmed, currently not in a party, conditions met. He clicked his tongue in disgust, muttering, seriously insane, look at how strict these conditions are. Do-yeon couldn't help but start grumbling. In a dungeon originally designed for parties, they force a player to find a hidden path while alone. No party allowed. Although he had a smile on his face, he couldn't help but add internally, with conditions like these, finding it is basically pointless for most. The light flashed and the system displayed the details. The Dark Elf Mage's hideout. Rank, hero. Type, hidden dungeon. Boss characteristic, solo boss. Description, one day, rumors of a dark-skinned elfin raven gave rise to countless legends. Maximum capacity, 1 person. Entry condition, first discoverer. The dungeon will disappear after being cleared and cannot be re-entered if failed. Do-yeon curled his lip into a cocky grin. Hero rank, huh? I definitely have to clear this place. Quote from Freed, God of Savior rank 1279 suddenly came to mind. Stepping into a hidden dungeon is like sticking your head into the mouth of a wild beast. The comment section immediately erupted. What the hell is he talking about? No idea. Does it mean it's that hard? Is entering here basically suicide? Then why is everyone obsessed with finding hidden dungeons? Do they have a death wish? It's just a metaphor. But anyone who has ever tasted a hidden dungeon would have to nod in agreement with Freed's words. What happens when you stick your head into a beast's mouth? It crushes you instantly. A hidden dungeon is exactly that beast's mouth. It just needs to open wide and wait. The prey will lead itself right in, ending with the cold gaze of the predator. On the other side, Do-yeon had stepped through the portal. You have entered the dungeon. Greeting him was a murky gray sphere hurtling his way. As soon as the sphere lunged, the system popped up. You have been hit by a cursed orb, inflicted with blind status effect. Amidst the heavy atmosphere, the system's voice suddenly rang out. Blindness will narrow your vision for a period of time. Followed by a series of notification sounds. The heroic nature helps you resist mental breakdown. Completely removed the blind effect. Despite the chaos, Do-yeon maintained a confident smile. Hell of a greeting. A gloomy voice suddenly echoed. How dare you enter my home without permission? You truly are a human who knows no fear. Before him was a pack of goblin undead. A second later, a notification box jumped out. Dark Elf Mage's Goblin Undead. Following that were countless giant spiders. Dark Elf Mage's Spider Undead. Do-yeon's eyebrows immediately furrowed. This looks disgusting. The entity seemed to sense this and let out a laugh. It seems you are terrified at the sight of my children. As the face became clear, the info panel appeared. Jihad Black, title named boss, rank hero, race elf, special bloodline nature, hexer, necromancer, nimble fingers, description, a survivor of a fallen tribe inheriting elite blood. Jihad Black is an elf who has lived for hundreds of years. Seeing this, he was slightly stunned. A named boss. Even though hidden dungeons are known for their high difficulty, he hadn't expected a named boss. Thinking back to those vicious magic dragons Do-yeon silently calculated, the rewards were great when I fought the dragons, I wonder what will drop this time. Right then the deep voice rang out again, but how strange. How did a mere human find this place? Jihad Black laughed cruelly, remarking, I don't smell an explorer on you, you carry too many tangled auras, you truly are an odd creature. Hearing that, he suddenly realized something. Wait, what? This elf has quite the nose. Without hesitation, the mage unleashed his pressure. No matter how odd you are, once you've stepped in here, there is no escape. As if triggered, the entire undead swarm surged toward Do-yeon. He wasn't scared at all. Instead, he opened his mouth to taunt. You aren't even nervous, are you? Then let me teach you a lesson. Surrounded by undead, Do-yeon immediately activated a skill. When fighting a melee user, a long-range fighter should always be extremely vigilant. A second later, he appeared right behind Jihad Black, terrifying him. Jihad Black didn't hesitate to swing his arm. Following that was the system notification. Activated corpse control skill, speed greatly increased due to nimble fingers nature. Along with the notification, a violent explosion erupted. Activated corpse explosion skill. The rolling shockwave of the blast forced the boss to brace himself to stay upright. As if he had just seen something, Jihad Black's expression suddenly changed. He immediately whipped around. From out of nowhere, Do-yeon was standing at a distance, looking ominous. In his hand was a blood-stained dagger, a triumphant smile tugging at the corner of his mouth. The system immediately flashed a cold notification. You have been inflicted with bleed status. Jihad Black gasped in horror. Since when? Seeing that face, Do-yeon questioned him cheerfully, surprised. I told you you should focus more. That smile immediately drove him mad. You little rat! Jihad Black waved his hands, summoning countless undead. Let's see how long you can hold out. Do-yeon leaped aside as quick as a flash, dodging in an instant. The boss didn't stop, continuously waving his hands to summon rising undead. Meanwhile, Do-yeon flexibly avoided every attack. At the same time, he had already seen through Jihad Black's plan. I see it, where he's aiming and where he plans to strike next. Looking at that frantic face, Do-yeon pondered, and even the plan he's currently calculating. After just a moment, he was backed into a corner. The boss's smile grew even more deranged. It ends here. With a ping sound, a massive explosion went off. Hidden Dungeon boss Jihad Black is using ultimate skill, Great Corpse Explosion. Jihad Black laughed maniacally, muttering, since you were a rare test subject, I planned to go easy on you. But you chose death. To the sharp sound of the system, Do-yeon suddenly appeared right behind him. Trace has disappeared. His dark voice echoed in the boss's ear, did your skill miss? Before the boss could react, Do-yeon's fist swung straight into Jihad Black's face. He was sent flying into the cliffside. A wretched scream rang out. Jihad Black spat out blood, his body trembling in pain. While he was clutching his chest in agony, Do-yeon approached again, his face shrouded in shadows and radiating killing intent. Even so, the boss remained defiant. You bastard, I will definitely have my revenge. The words were barely out before Do-yeon gifted him a punch to the gut. He didn't stop, continuing to swing his arms. A barrage of punches landed repeatedly on Jihad Black's face. Within moments, dozens of punches had been thrown. Just as Do-yeon was preparing to continue, the boss suddenly cried out, wait. Jihad Black clutched his bruised face and wailed, hey, are you hitting my bones? Hitting the bones is playing dirty. Hearing that, he raised an eyebrow skeptically. What kind of boss is this? Meanwhile, the boss continued to whimper, my bones hurt so much. Do-yeon was a bit speechless, wondering, this thing is actually hero rank. Recalling the attack from earlier, he couldn't help but assess. The corpse explosion skill was strong, but other than that, he's way too weak. Seeing Do-yeon suddenly move, Jihad Black jumped in fright. Without hesitation, he immediately leaped backward. Watching that series of actions, he felt a bit suspicious. The boss let out a dark laugh and sneered, stupid human, I was just waiting for you to drop your guard. Amidst the dark fog, a notification screen appeared. Secret Dungeon boss Jihad Black. Activating Bloodline Nature. The info above his head suddenly changed. Once Jihad Black finishes awakening his bloodline, his stats will skyrocket. Do-yeon was startled, stats increasing. As if realizing something, his expression darkened. He looks pathetic, but jumping from hero rank to hero plus is a completely different story. Do-yeon quickly drew his blade, thinking to himself, raids that require a proper party start from hero plus rank. I can't let him finish. He didn't hesitate, lunging forward with a burst of speed. Then a series of notification screens jumped out. Strength increased plus 20. Strength stat has surpassed 100. Do-yeon looked at the stats and silently regretted it. I might have overdone it putting everything into strength. But with a ding, the system info changed. Warrior set applied, dealing an additional 7% damage to goblin-type enemies. He swung his sword without hesitation. The spot where he had just been standing was now nothing but a cloud of dust. Notifications immediately jumped out, text filling his vision. Due to frenzy effect, boss takes plus 10% damage. Due to sword mastery, damage plus 10%. Jihad Black's jaw dropped as he stuttered, "This is completely nonsensical." A glint of killing intent flashed in Do-yeon's eyes. Before destructive damage, all things are equal. With just a single slash, he completely defeated him. After Jihad Black's final scream, a blue screen appeared. You have defeated the secret dungeon boss, Jihad Black. On the other side, a flood of text immediately jumped out. Congratulations on clearing the secret dungeon. Achievement recorded in the adventure book. Symbols and numbers flashed continuously. Since you are the first to clear this dungeon, rewards will be doubled. You have leveled up. You have received the dungeon clear rewards. The item info appeared. Goblin Mage's Soul Stone of Grudge, a versatile gem containing a resentful soul. Rank Hero. Requirement level 30. Class Mage. Priest. Black Goblin Mage's Cloak, the black cloak of a goblin mage enchanted with an identity jamming spell for easy anonymity. Rank Hero. Requirement level 30. Class Unlimited. Special option: when the hood is up, identity jamming mode activates. Do-yeon let out a sigh of relief. Truly hero rank, the rewards are amazing. I didn't expect both a gem and support gear to drop. His voice still carried a hint of dissatisfaction. The attribute lines are a bit hard to use, but better than nothing. Just then, the screen changed again. Traces of the Forgotten Tribe. Rank: these are the ruins of a disappeared tribe, current use unknown. Do-yeon stopped in confusion. Traces of a tribe? He stroked his chin thoughtfully. The rank is a question mark. Even in Temrock, unappraised items looked exactly like this. Do-yeon couldn't figure it out, so he gave up. Whatever, I'll find out eventually. Just as he finished speaking, his eyes caught the screen below. The system clearly displayed a strange card. Do-yeon wondered skeptically. A card? He sank deep into thought. God of Savior seems very invested in the card system. They aren't just for combining skills or enhancing, even the bosses in the adventure book are saved in the form of cards. Do-yeon gave a bright smile, calculating. If it's a monster card, it's probably for gear enchanting, right? On the screen was the boss's status. Jihad Black card. Rank Hero. Description: a card sealing the soul of the goblin mage Jihad Black. When used, he will be summoned as a guardian and the card will disappear. He was a bit surprised reading that. A guardian? Simply put, a guardian is someone who protects their master, like a fire mage's salamander or an alchemist's golem. Do-yeon scratched his head with curiosity. A guardian, sounds interesting, not bad. But remembering Purpletaste's two beasts, he muttered, unless it's a divine beast like that purple-haired guy's dragon, it's barely acceptable. While speaking, Do-yeon made his choice. Normal guardians usually just cost money to raise without being of much use. The status line immediately displayed, summoning Guardian. In an instant, Jihad Black was summoned. Jihad Black title: named Guardian. Rank Hero. Race Goblin. Level 1. Loyalty /100. Bloodline: Nature Necromancer's Curse. Nimble Fingers. Personality: bullies the weak, fears the strong, opportunist. Skill: create undead. Description: a survivor of a withered tribe with noble blood. Jihad Black is a goblin who has lived for hundreds of years. Due to his low level, most of his power is sealed. Seeing the figure before him, the goblin screamed in terror. Why is it you? Do-yeon's face immediately showed disgust. This thing is my guardian. Do-yeon began to daydream. He's supposed to be cool and powerful like other guardians. Oh well, never mind that. Jihad Black collapsed to his knees in despair. To think I must serve a filthy human. Seeing this, Do-yeon felt a wave of annoyance. A goblin who does nothing but wallow in self-pity. The more he looked, the more Do-yeon felt contempt. Bullies the weak, fears the strong, and an opportunist. What kind of hellish traits are these? Just as the thought crossed his mind, the system popped up. Guardian Jihad Black's loyalty is extremely low. Due to Jihad Black's nature, if loyalty is too low, he may betray you. Please be careful. After reading, he couldn't help but widen his eyes, muttering, "This is insane." Looking at that cowardly appearance, Do-yeon clicked his tongue. With an attitude like this, I can't let him have any peace. Thinking this, he stepped forward under the goblin's terrified gaze. Seeing Do-yeon staring at him, Jihad Black asked defiantly, "What, you human?" Hearing that, Do-yeon frowned in displeasure. "You dare call your master human?" Do-yeon angrily got right in his face, his voice low as he repeated what he had just said. The pressure crashing down made Jihad Black's face contort in horror. Do-yeon let out a dark laugh, cracking his knuckles threateningly. "Your mindset is completely broken. For every second that passes, I'm going to give you a beating." Before the goblin could fully process it, he looked visibly confused. Do-yeon didn't explain, only flashed a cruel smile. "Time for your medicine." A large shadow loomed over him, making Jihad Black fall back onto his rear in fear. In the cave, only the sharp sounds of the beating and his wretched cries remained, accompanied by a series of system notifications flashing rapidly. "You have attacked your guardian. Loyalty 2-100, loyalty 3-100, loyalty 4-100, loyalty 5-100, loyalty 6-100. The sky turned to the pink hues of sunset. The door to the gaming room opened. Do-yeon stretched, looked outside, and remarked, "It's starting to get dark." After finishing up, he left the room and asked, "Mom, is there anything left to eat?" But the only reply came from his younger sister, "Nothing. If you're hungry, just ask." Do-yeon turned to look at his carefree sister on the sofa. His face showed utter helplessness, while internally he sighed, simply unbelievable. Do-yeon sat down and asked, "Where's Mom?" She replied briefly, "She has an appointment." He followed up, "What are you watching?" She continued, "God TV." Hearing that, Do-yeon was slightly surprised. "God TV, you play that game too?" She replied nonchalantly, "Who doesn't these days?" This remark shocked Do-yeon enough to make him cry out, "For real?" She said, "Yeah, I'm level 71 already." This info surprised him even more. Wow. Do-yeon then wondered, to get to 71, you must have grinded pretty hard, right? She kept eating her snacks while lazily explaining, "About 6 months. A friend asked me to play and said they'd carry me, so I joined. I have to admit, this game is actually fun." Hearing his sister, Do-yeon silently calculated. 6 months, it took that much time just to hit level 70. Then she immediately sniped back at him. "That's because I don't rot for 10 hours a day in the game like some people." This time, Do-yeon was truly speechless and didn't reply. Just then, a news report aired on the TV. "Next up is a report on the Hero Guild. I know this guild." His attention immediately shifted toward the screen. "The Hero Guild," Do-yeon's sister explained to him. "They're the hottest group among young people right now. In terms of popularity, they aren't far behind Slayers." Hearing that, he became even more curious. But why? They aren't even in the top 10, are they? To his surprise, the answer was incredibly simple. Because they're handsome, obviously. On the God TV screen now was the leader of the Hero Guild, Vers. She rested her chin on her hand and lazily added, "Even if guys like Slayers, most girls are still obsessed with the Hero Guild." Hearing this, Do-yeon immediately voiced his criticism. "That guy looks like a spoiled rich kid." Contrary to him, his heaven-sent sister was completely infatuated. "Look at that face, he's the perfect mix of masculine and pretty, he's on a whole different level than you." He disgustedly cursed her in his head. "What right does a pelican face like you have to talk?" Getting bored, Do-yeon decided to get up and leave. "Whatever, I'm going to go exercise." Suddenly, his sister marveled, "With a face like that, no wonder his YouTube channel is so popular." His steps halted, followed by a question, "YouTube." Despite her nonchalant attitude, she still answered all her brother's questions. All the guilds have YouTube channels now, some even get hundreds of millions of views. Do-yeon's eyes went wide, his mouth agape in shock. He was immediately hooked and leaned in close to ask for details. Hundreds of millions of views, then he must make a fortune, right? She was a bit startled by his excitement. "Probably, I heard he earns up to 1 billion won." This number was beyond Do-yeon's imagination. 1 billion won, how much fried chicken could I buy with that? Then, like someone who had lost his soul, he kept repeating, 1 billion, 1 billion. She called out worriedly, "Hey, what's wrong with you?" But Do-yeon just kept wandering blankly back to his room. 1 billion, 1 billion. Then the door to his room softly closed. Do-yeon's sister made a confused face. "What the heck, he's acting so weird." The system notification rang out as Do-yeon reconnected to the game. ID verified, synchronization complete. Connecting to the world of God of Savior. Do-yeon logged into the game and prepared to record. I'll just record for now just to be safe. Who knows when this footage might come in handy. Jihad Black stepped out from within the black circle while rubbing his eyes. Are we in? Hearing that, he couldn't help but feel annoyed and asked back, so you've arrived, huh? Are you planning to drop the honorifics entirely? This irritable attitude of his made Jihad Black frantically explain, no, master. Doyun had to remind him, it's fine, just call me whatever makes you feel comfortable. After that, he threw him a set of clothes, and you put these on. Accompanied by an explanation, I can't equip them yet anyway, and besides, you need something to cover yourself. Suddenly, the system notified, loyalty decreased by 2. Jihad Black replied with a terrifying smile, since Master has given me clothes to wear, I shall be a free entity. Seeing him like that, Doyun glared angrily as a heavy pressure radiated out. What was that? Realizing his previous move was a mistake, Jihad Black pleaded in fear, oh no, Master, thank you very much. The system displayed, loyalty increased by 2, seeing him like that. Doyun looked on with total disgust, thinking, is this loyalty stat a rubber band or something? How can it stretch and shrink that much? Putting on the shirt, Jihad Black spoke up, Master, where are we going now? As if remembering his task, Doyun regained his composure and looked ahead. We have to run. These words left Jihad Black staring blankly. Following that were the screams of monsters ringing out in pure agony. The scene was full of defeated monsters while the system pings rang out continuously. You have defeated a red forest goblin. You have defeated a giant spider. Looking at the corpses of the defeated monsters, Jihad Black felt somewhat sorry for them, thinking, they are truly pitiful. Then he looked back at Doyun, who was killing monsters like a maniac. Of all the people to mess with, they had to mess with this devil. Jihad Black's train of thought was interrupted by a call, come here. He immediately raised his head and wondered, Master. Doyun sat down to rest while waiting for Jihad Black to run over. He quickly assigned him a task. That pile of items you just picked up, just leave them all there and try turning them into undead. He obeyed submissively. Yes, understood. Next, Jihad Black set down the sword in his hand. He stepped closer to one of the monsters there. Then a surge of black energy rose up, and Jihad Black began to chant. The monster was completely enveloped by a swirl of energy, as if its soul were being drained away. Seeing that scene, Doyun was somewhat impressed. The system announced, Guardian Jihad Black has successfully turned the Red Forest Goblin into an undead. A moment later, Jihad Black had turned the entire pile of goblins into his legion, accompanied by an explanation, it is done, Master. Normally I could create an entire army, but for now, this is the limit. He immediately offered him praise, not bad. In his head, Doyun thought to himself, I'll definitely have a use for this later. Then Jihad Black continued saying something to the red goblins. They followed the order and ran off immediately. Seeing this, Doyun asked in confusion, where are they going? Jihad Black replied with a proud smile on his face, I ordered them to go loot the items, sir. After hearing that, his gaze toward him became even more distasteful. He already knew how to boss them around to do chores. However, he quickly brushed aside the idle thoughts and calculated, I wonder when I'll reach level 2. It would be great if some elite monsters showed up. To his surprise, new information was provided at that moment, elite monsters. If it's those high-end goods you want, I know where they are, Master. Doyun was startled and asked back, what? Jihad Black reported seriously, those guys do nothing all day, they just huddle together in one spot. Hearing this, Doyun's attitude shifted visibly, his smile became incredibly excited. Those elite monsters are all gathered in one place. Above the forest was a clear blue sky. The elite monsters had long since gathered in one location. Jihad Black and Doyun were hiding to one side. What do you think, Master? It's definitely them, right? Doyun was so excited he broke into a smirking grin. This is unbelievable. Looking at the monsters in front of him, he couldn't help but wonder, why the hell are there so many of them? A notification appeared right on cue. Sudden quest, Trial of the Warriors has been activated. Trial of the Warriors. Grade, Sudden quest. Reward 100 gold, a large amount of EXP, 1 intermediate skill draw ticket. Time limit, 48 hours. Reading this, Doyun smirked and thought to himself, an intermediate skill draw ticket. I definitely have to complete this deal. The elite monsters quickly noticed his presence. Do-yeon on his side didn't waste time and immediately charged. The corners of his mouth curved into a smile. "Hey you guys," a red goblin prepared to strike back immediately. It swung its sword down powerfully. Do-yeon easily dodged and even counterattacked. The red goblin growled threateningly. However, in the end, it still took a direct hit to the middle of its face. Blood poured from its nose. The red goblin's momentum sent it tumbling backwards several times. Do-yeon's combat sequence was only just beginning. He blurred past these monsters like a gust of wind while activating vital stat. Several system notifications immediately appeared. Bleeding status inflicted. The moment Do-yeon stopped was also the moment the monsters collapsed to the ground. On the opposite side, the silhouette of a red goblin came running up. Do-yeon simply met its attack head-on. Next, he reached back and drew his weapon. The red goblin's face was lit with surprise. Do-yeon immediately launched a kick that pinned it to the ground. The red goblin even vomited blood after taking the brunt of that blow. Only now did he reach for the hilt of his sword, and he drew the blade instantly. The red goblin let out a threatening roar. However, this had absolutely no effect on Do-yeon. He proceeded to unleash a critical strike. Do-yeon's expression didn't change at all. Meanwhile, the red goblin was in absolute agony. Its powerless body slumped to the ground. From within the bushes, Jihad Black was watching and thinking to himself, "That's horrific." He couldn't believe his eyes. "I saw it back in the Western Forest too, but that guy definitely isn't a normal human." There was pure terror on Jihad Black's face as he looked toward Do-yeon. "He is a devil, a real demon." He slammed the sword in his hand into the ground. Do-yeon looked around and muttered an assessment. "The warriors are all cleared out. I guess it's about time he showed his face." To his surprise, the silhouette of another monster appeared from the distance, followed by several notifications. "You have encountered a hidden boss, Great Goblin Warrior Kara." Information about the quest and the opponent was laid out before him. Quest Trial of the Warriors has changed to Trial of the Great Warrior, Great Goblin Warrior Karuk. Title, Elite Tier Hidden Boss. Type, Goblin. Characteristics, Great Warrior Body Fortification Berserk. However, Do-yeon himself let out a wicked smile. "He's here, my loot bag." He took up the sword in his hand. Do-yeon didn't waste a second and immediately charged at his opponent. The two sides fought with a do-or-die mentality. Standing in the distance, Jihad Black also called out worriedly, "Don't, that guy is too much for Master." He kindly informed him, "Just clashing with him will shatter your sword, sir." Great Goblin Warrior Karuk used Brutal Strike. There wasn't even a flicker of hesitation in Do-yeon's eyes. Karuk raised the axe in his hand. Then he brought it down powerfully. To his surprise, it failed to cause any injury to Do-yeon. Even the hiding Jihad Black was caught off guard. Do-yeon was currently parrying the attack. There was a delighted smile on his face. This attitude left Karuk feeling bewildered. It roared again and struck once more. Do-yeon's hand holding the weapon also began to move. He didn't let it attack, but instead directly preempted it. What followed was a series of high-speed attacks. Jihad Black couldn't believe his eyes and kept asking himself, "What the hell am I seeing right now?" He watched what was happening with a look of amazement. A question formed in his mind, parrying. To speak more of the parrying skill, parrying, a skill to deflect an opponent's attack, can fail if timing is wrong. Although it is the only defensive skill for a swordsman, it is famous for far exceeding normal skill grades. If conditions are met, this is a dominant technique that can neutralize even legendary skills. This skill also has a drawback. Because the success rate is extremely low, almost no one dares to use it in actual combat. On his side, Do-yeon was thinking with delight, "Successfully used parrying. I didn't expect this to come out of a low-tier gacha pull." A system notification appeared. Karuk continued to unleash brutal strikes, followed by an explosion. Before Karuk could understand what happened, Do-yeon had appeared behind its back. Only then did Karuk turn its head around. There was a smile on Do-yeon's face. Karuk let out a startled cry. Jihad Black was so shocked his eyes went wide. In the blink of an eye, Do-yeon had decapitated Karuk. "You have defeated the hidden boss Great Goblin Warrior Karuk. This achievement has been recorded in the adventure log," followed by a series of system notifications. "Congratulations on completing the Great Warrior's trial. Rewards include 200 gold, a large amount of EXP, 2 intermediate skill draw tickets, and Karuk's outfit." He himself was so surprised he cheered, "Oh man, he actually died, and I got 2 draw tickets too." Do-yeon was so excited, he was jumping up and down on the spot. Jihad Black, standing to the side, had to scowl, thinking to himself, "Here we go again." He began to compare. When he's fighting, he looks no different from a devil, but as soon as it comes to those card games, he always acts like this. Jihad Black looked at Do-yeon's change in attitude and had to ask himself, why did he suddenly become such a goofball? On his side, he was operating the system. A series of skills appeared. The information for each skill was displayed one by one. Skill, Rising Dragon Kick. Rare grade, requirement, martial artist class, effect, deals massive damage using the legs. Cooldown 21 seconds. Skill, heavy strike, rare grade, requirement, support type, increases physical attack by 40 for 40 seconds. Cooldown 40 seconds. Do-yeon immediately took notice. Heavy strike, this is the core move for strength builds, lasts 40 seconds and the cooldown is also 40 seconds. It's essentially a near-permanent power boost. Besides, it makes a normal sword have the power of a greatsword. Reading this, Do-yeon was so excited he covered his face. This is amazing, this is truly top tier, an assassin that can solo and brawl. His gaze became more dangerous, and it even came with rising dragon kick. I've wanted to try this move for a long time, it looks incredibly cool, perfect, everything is wonderful. It didn't stop there, the system continued to provide other notifications. Unidentified items. Karuk's red leather armor, crafted from the hide of great goblin warrior Karuk. Heroic grade, Karuk's red leather pants made from Karuk's own durable hide, heroic grade. Below were a few other items. Karuk's blue-red leather shoulder guards, crafted from Karuk's hide, rare plus grade, Karuk's essence ring. A ring containing Karuk's concentrated power, heroic grade. Reading this, Do-yeon finally remarked, I'm finally getting to take off these tattered goblin rags. He didn't waste any time and equipped them immediately. Notifications from the system appeared along with the light as the equipment was changed. You have equipped the full blue-red Great Warrior set. Set effect, splash damage plus 10%, melee damage plus 5%, all stats plus 4. Do-yeon excitedly looked at himself and remarked, the colors are a bit flashy but it still looks way more stylish, right? Jihad Black quickly played along, it suits you very well, master. Then he stepped closer and remarked with a grimace, master, sometimes you really scare me. This comment was taken positively by Do-yeon, you think so too. He added proudly, even I'm afraid of myself sometimes. I wonder just how far I'm going to go. Jihad Black was completely speechless at Do-yeon's narcissism. He thought to himself in boredom, what a nutcase. To his surprise, just that one thought triggered a notification. Loyalty points decreased by 1. Do-yeon immediately looked at him and demanded, what was that just now? You were just insulting me in your head, weren't you? Jihad Black tried his best to deny it, not at all, master. However, Do-yeon entered a threatening state. Try stepping out of line, you're dead meat. Jihad Black gave a forced smile and stammered back, yes, master. Loyalty points increased by 1. Only then did Do-yeon give a reluctant sigh. He sheathed his weapon and began to move. Let's go. Jihad Black couldn't contain his curiosity. Where are we going, sir? A simple answer was given by Do-yeon, time for a boss hunt. He nodded and agreed casually, since you already took down a great warrior, killing a few more won't hurt. To his surprise, as soon as the words left his mouth, Jihad Black himself felt something was wrong. On Do-yeon's side, he was currently reading the notifications displayed in front of him. To proceed to the next city, you must pass the trial of the boss continent. Field, Trial Ground 1. Requirement, reach level 24. Defeat Spider Queen Eliza. Their next stop was the area where Spider Queen Eliza appeared in the Western Forest. Other players had already gathered here. I wonder when it'll finally show up, probably in about 10 minutes. Small groups were constantly discussing among themselves. Where will it appear this time? I heard last time it showed up at the Eastern Webs, right? They were all cautiously observing the terrain in front of them. Then this time, it'll probably be west or north. At this time, Do-yeon and Jihad Black also arrived. He looked down at him and demanded, tell me the truth, do you actually know where the boss spawns? Jihad Black didn't hide anything and replied sincerely, no, sir. This boss belongs to the new generation, so even I'm not very clear on it, master. As soon as he heard that, Do-yeon let out a long, weary sigh. And you said before that you knew everything about this forest. He didn't seem to notice this disappointed attitude. In his heart, Do-yeon was also doing his own calculations. I wonder where it'll show up. He looked at the terrain and thought, no matter where it appears, I just have to charge in and use backstab and it's over. Just then, several system notifications suddenly appeared. Activating talent, the Slayer. The location of boss Spider Queen Eliza has been revealed. A red silhouette of the Spider Queen appeared on the ground, stunning Do-yeon. What? He couldn't help but feel confused. I don't have the Slayer title for spiders, do I? However, he quickly reasoned it out himself. Wait, a hypothesis was formed. Could it be that it doesn't just apply to bosses he's already killed but works on all types of bosses? But Do-yeon didn't waste time on idle thoughts. Whatever, that doesn't matter right now. The corners of his mouth curled into an inhumane smile. What mattered was that he could monopolize this boss by using the backstab move. At that moment, a blue light appeared on the ground. Emerging from the darkness was the figure of a fat spider constantly wailing, "Eliza, Eliza." In the blink of an eye, Do-yeon appeared behind it. "You have encountered the Spider Queen, Eliza." He looked at his opponent with undisguised excitement. Who knew that move would actually be so effective? Jihad Black, standing nearby, also asked in surprise, "Master, how did you manage to do that?" Do-yeon lazily replied, "It's a long story." His focus now turned toward the opponent in front of him. He'd just consider this a lucky break, but Do-yeon stared intently at Alyssa and remarked, "This big girl is truly massive." Spider Queen Eliza, title, Elite Field Boss, race, Arachnid, traits, Steel Spiderweb, Lethal Toxin, Arachnid Sensing. The creature itself let out a threatening roar and lunged forward. "Eliza." That cry made him grimace in annoyance. It charged while repeatedly crying out, "Eliza, Eliza, Eliza." Meanwhile, Do-yeon retreated. He moved and utilized the backstab skill. In just a flash, Do-yeon vanished from Alyssa's line of sight. It cried out in shock, "Eeyog." From behind, the silhouette of a dragon appeared. Do-yeon launched an attack using the Rising Dragon Kick. Due to the gear set effect, damage was increased by 6%. Eliza was struck so hard her eyes went wide. Do-yeon was completely focused on it. As the attack concluded, Eliza slammed into the ground. Do-yeon didn't waste another second and immediately lunged to attack. Eliza flinched and let out a dry cry, "Eliza." However, Do-yeon swept past it with high-speed slashes. His feet skidded across the ground. Then Do-yeon gathered momentum and lunged toward Eliza. The system notified, "You are using an enhancement skill. Attack power has been increased." He accelerated, aiming his attack straight at Eliza. This time, a hint of fear flickered across its face. "Eliza." The system notified again, "You are using Rising Dragon Kick." The silhouette of a golden dragon appeared once more. Eliza took the full force of the kick to the center of its head and collapsed. It was in so much pain it spat out blood. Eliza's entire body crashed heavily onto the ground. Jihad Black, who had been hiding until now, thought to himself, "Good grief, I truly pity anyone who has to face that monster." Do-yeon stood still, looking at Eliza lying flattened before him. It turned its shimmering eyes toward him and called out, "Eliza." His eyes flashed with killing intent. He had no idea what the name Eliza was supposed to mean. However, Do-yeon had plenty of patience to force an explanation. "Let's see how long you can keep that mouth shut." Realizing this human wasn't joking, Eliza wailed even louder, "La Eliza." Jihad Black watched, barely daring to breathe. Only one thought ran through his mind. Master is truly heartless. Do-yeon still didn't stop, "Eliza, Eliza, Eliza." It wasn't until Jihad Black froze as if remembering something. "Eliza? That name sounds very familiar." His jaw dropped as he realized the truth. Then he rushed out to intervene, "Master, please stop." "Wait, Master, please stop." This frantic attitude confused Do-yeon. "What is it?" Jihad Black ran to Eliza and said worriedly, "Eliza, it's me. Open your eyes and look, Eliza." It looked at him and replied, "Eliza." Jihad Black removed his hood and continued, "Eliza, it's me. Don't you recognize me?" Eliza's eyes welled with tears. "Eliza, Eliza, Eliza." The story began 150 years ago. Back then, Jihad Black was even more powerful than he is now. While traveling, he heard a voice calling, "Liza." He looked at the spider in front of him and realized something was strange. Eliza stared at him and called out, "Liza, Liza." Jihad Black was intrigued. A spider like this actually exists. He smiled and made an offer. "Hey, do you want to follow me?" Eliza squealed excitedly, "Liza." Its shimmering eyes looked at him, "Liza, Liza." The cries rang out continuously, "Liza, Liza." Jihad Black replied, "Is Liza your name?" Then he laughed and said, "But calling you Liza is too ordinary. How about I call you Eliza instead?" Eliza liked the name so much it jumped up and down. "Liza, Liza." Jihad Black explained, "No, not Liza, it's Eliza." But it didn't understand. He could only shrug helplessly. "All right, fine, whatever you want, I'll call you Eliza, okay?" Then he reached for his cloak. "Eliza, I have to go out alone on business today." This declaration confused Eliza most of all, causing it to tilt its head. "Liza." Jihad Black immediately refused. "You can't, that place is still too dangerous for you." It could only watch him leave, "Liza." Upon reaching the door, Jihad Black didn't forget to say, "All right then, I'm off." Eliza had been staring at him this whole time, "Liza." However, the story had a sad ending. That master never returned again. Time passed, sunsets fell, the moon rose brightly and then set. The sun began each new day. 1 year passed, 10 years passed, 100 years passed. It waited tirelessly for its master until the small hut gradually rotted away with time. Finally, a momentous decision was made. Eliza decided to head toward the West Forest, returning to the place where she and her master first met. Throughout that journey, she repeated the name her master had given her so she wouldn't forget it. It wasn't until now that a touching reunion took place. Eliza, Lisa. Dohyun stood to one side and asked bluntly, "So, in short, you abandoned Eliza." That statement made Jihad Black freeze. However, immediately after, the two of them rushed to hug each other and sobbed again. Eliza, Lisa. Another question was posed. But why did you have to go into hiding, not just for a few years but for 150 years? This time Jihad Black explained softly, "I cannot reveal that, master. It is beyond my current capabilities." This answer puzzled him. What is that supposed to mean? But he explained once more, "I am sorry, master." That serious face left Dohyun with no choice but to believe him. He let out a sigh and looked around. Now what should we do? This is the final quest, so we can't leave it unfinished." Jihad Black frowned in agreement. "That is correct, master." At that moment, Eliza spoke up again. Lisa. He immediately looked toward it. "What is it?" Eliza's expression changed. Lisa. Hearing this, Jihad Black couldn't help but be surprised. What do you mean by that?" He tried his best to stop it. "You can't. Absolutely not." However, Eliza still adamantly demanded, Lisa. Dohyun cut in, confused. "Hey, what's going on?" Jihad Black wore a dangerous expression and explained, "It is asking me to finish off the master." That suggestion made him flinch. She continued to lay out the plan for the goblin. However, the goblin immediately raised a hand to stop her. No way. The spider had reached its limit. It clenched its jaws, spitting out tiny sparks of venom like embers. That sudden action made Jihad panic while the system simultaneously alarmed. "Eliza, Queen Spider Eliza has entered a critical toxic state. Health is below 10%. Observing that movement, he thought to himself, "What the hell is going on?" Seeing her pained expression, Jihad asked, "Eliza, what are you doing?" Her mouth emitted faint whimpers as if she were trying to say something. Jihad hesitated after hearing it, but Eliza seemed to continue her persuasion. After a few seconds of thought, Jihad turned to his master, his voice firm. "Master, stab her, hurry." The suggestion made him freeze. "What?" Jihad said with certainty. "She is begging master to kill her. There's no more time." He hesitated. "Is doing this really okay?" Jihad's voice became urgent. "Just trust her for now. Hurry, master." Hearing that, he drew his sword without further delay. "All right, if that is her wish." He raised his sword high. "I'm going to strike." With a decisive slash, green blood splattered everywhere. The system rang out repeatedly. "You have defeated the field boss, Queen Spider Eliza." Achievement recorded, multiple effects activated, all stats increased by 6 points. Looking at the giant spider collapsed on the ground, he silently wondered, was that really the right thing to do? Jihad stood by and nodded. "Yes, master." Just then, a tiny creature appeared on the queen's head, startling them both. A miniature spider emerged, crying out, Eliza, the system announced. "You have discovered the hidden bug, Eliza, a parasite on the queen's spider. The affinity between Jihad and Eliza has reached its maximum. Do you wish to recruit her as a subordinate?" Reading the notification, he thought, so it's a parasitic monster. He had encountered bosses like this before in Demro. The type of creature that clings to another body, constantly switching hosts to survive, making players want to die from the headache. Yet this time one was actually following him. The little spider girl was overjoyed when Jihad picked her up. System update. Eliza has been added to Jihad's subordinate list. Just like that, he suddenly had another guardian. Not bad. Jihad thought to himself, the corners of his mouth curling up. This guy really suited him. Good at looting, obedient, and always discovering hidden areas. You really are my lucky star. Feeling his fixed gaze, Jihad flinched, a chill running down his spine. What is this feeling? Immediately after, tiny Eliza jumped out of Jihad's hand and landed right on her master's shoulder, leaving them both stunned. Eliza, the little girl chirped. Jihad laughed and translated. She said, "Thank you very much, master." She continued to wave her limbs. Eliza. Jihad translated further. "She wants to repay master. Please follow her." He asked curiously, "Repay me?" Eliza continued to wave frantically. After that, the three of them ventured deeper into the cave. Eliza used her legs to point forward, her mouth never stopping. Eliza. Jihad translated. She says, "We're almost there, master." Before long, they stepped into a massive cavern filled with spider eggs. The system announced, "You have discovered a new hidden realm, the queen spider's nest." Looking at the thousands of glowing purple eyes staring back, he shivered. A spider nursery. When he appeared, the spider swarm emitted strange noises. The system continued, "Acquired title Field Boss Handler." He flinched, thinking, wait, are all of these field bosses? The graduation quest required hunting a field boss, and the original goal was just to catch Eliza. Now everything was clear. Hunt Field Boss Challenge 1, ranking rewards based on boss hunting performance. Requirement, defeat Queen Spider Eliza 01. Required level 24. Reward grade D to S. He looked at the system's scoring scale. The key issue was how impressively he could defeat Eliza. Scanning the entire area, the corners of his mouth quirked into an excited smile. Well then, how about I just kill them all? Killing intent exploded from his body. He gripped his sword tightly. Let's see how this turns out. Without hesitation, he charged straight into the vicious spider swarm. They didn't stand still either, pouncing all at once. A horrific explosion echoed through the cave. He went into a killing frenzy, his sword swinging wildly like a storm. Tiny Eliza stood aside and watched, tears welling up in her eyes as she witnessed her kind being slaughtered. Jihad nodded in approval. That's right. Master is terrifyingly strong. Spider corpses continuously rained down. After wiping them all out, he breathed a sigh of relief. The system announced frantically, you have completed Challenge 1, Hunt Field Bosses. Record, 1 hidden field boss plus 34 normal field bosses. Score, 1,471. New S-Rank record established. The first person to achieve S-Rank in Challenge 1. You are now ranked number 1 on the leaderboard. Acquired title, first to achieve S-Rank. Acquired title, Outstanding Graduate, time attack effect activated, all stats plus 5. A horde of rewards poured in, his eyes glowed with excitement. Awesome, this feeling is incredible. Tiny Eliza jumped onto his shoulder chirping, Eliza, Eliza. The protagonist heard this and laughed, saying, thanks, Eliza, this gift far exceeds my expectations. Jihad laughed and translated. Master, Eliza says she hasn't given you her repayment gift yet. He turned to the little girl in surprise. She was waving her limbs excitedly. Jihad continued to translate. The gift is over there, Master. Following Jihad's direction, the Truth Eye skill automatically activated. A mysterious purple glow flickered on the cliff wall. The system announced, you have found a destiny fragment. He blanked out for a moment, thinking, a destiny fragment just out in the open like this. At the same time, outside the spider cave, a group of people was gathering. The air was buzzing with chatter. Is this the right place? One replied, definitely. I checked everywhere else to set a record but found nothing. This is the only place left. A blonde young man pointed into the cave and shouted, everyone, don't be nervous. Just do exactly as we practiced. Defeat Eliza and then gather at Brian. The crowd behind him cheered in excitement. Let's do it. However, before the group could even enter, a notification appeared. Queen Spider Eliza has been defeated. The Continental Challenge has ended. She's not even out yet and we've already killed her, which guild beat us to it. We were the first ones here. A young man looked at the notification board and told everyone, look, the live rankings just updated. The latest achievement of the number 1 ranker is defeating the Queen Spider Eliza. People continued to analyze, must be a hack. What's the real name? Is that nickname the ID? A fair-skinned guy started checking the name. Looks like it's Kai. Back at the scene, the protagonist was holding a red jade fragment in his hand. After observing for a while, he concluded, using this jade fragment will activate the Destiny Inheritance quest, right? Jihad, standing beside him, smirked. Congratulations, Master. Finally, you're no longer unemployed. You've officially become a true adventurer. Du Haiyan didn't answer, still lost in thought. Seeing this, the vice captain asked worriedly, why does Master look so miserable? Eliza on his head also chirped as if inquiring. Du Haiyan replied tiredly, I just have a bad feeling about this reward. The statement made Jihad flinch. Oh my master, look at the rewards for these quests. The system then announced the reward, Cassiar's Relic. Jihad explained, finally you have a high-tier item like everyone else. Du Haiyan pointed at the notification board and shouted, but don't you see the risk of failure, losing everything, having your class stripped away and becoming just a freelance NPC? He muttered, then all my hard work until now will have been for nothing. But then he suddenly realized, wait, if I actually become unemployed, what will happen to you guys? Jihad broke into a cold sweat. What? He shouted, are you doubting my loyalty? Never, Master. Right then, the system announced, loyalty 15,100. Do you think I'm egging you on to fail so I can bail when you collapse? Eliza on his head also chirped as if wanting to explain. Immediately after, a cry of pain echoed in the cave because Du Haiyan had just smacked him. The system announced Jihad's loyalty increased by 1. Looking at the system screen's quest description, Pass the trial to prove you are worthy of inheriting Cassiar's will. Du Haiyan thought to himself, a trial, huh? If I can handle steel, then these things are nothing. Alright, let's do this. The system screen popped up. Do you agree to accept the quest? Confirm. He didn't hesitate. Confirm. No matter what monsters appear, I'll crush them all. The system announced, the trial of destiny has begun. It all started when he drew the Kasyar card from a hidden item. At the church back then, the bishop's voice trembled with fear. You say you are the messenger of Cassiar. Du Haiyan bowed. That is correct, it is I. If you grant a blessing, I will save this village. Before he could finish, a bucket of ice-cold water was splashed directly in his face. He roared in anger. Damn it, what are you doing? The other person barked. Shut your mouth, you cheap messenger of Cassiar. How dare you bring your filthy body into this holy place? He shouted back in fury. Cancel the request. Hey, give me my reward and then go wherever you want. The other person turned away and slammed the door. There's no reward for someone like you. Get out. Though enraged, he had to turn and leave. I wonder if that Cassiar guy blackmailed people. This is infuriating, he thought. Every time the monks heard Cassiar's name, they all lost their minds. He sat in the monastery courtyard eating bread while checking the system panel. I need to look closely at the class description. Cassiar, god of war, god of a bard, the only god that even other gods fear. Reading further, he was startled. Oh, the other gods really are afraid of him. To the monks, he was no different from a demon. When he accepted the quest, he thought it would just be a bunch of elite or mythical monsters appearing, but he was dead wrong. Back in the present, a heavy iron weight fell with a thud behind him. Du Haiyan jumped. Jesus, you scared me to death. Following that, swords began flying straight at Jihad and Eliza continuously. It cried out in panic. What is this? It's raining weapons from the sky like a storm. Jihad warned, look over there, master. Du Haiyan followed Jihad's gaze. What now? Jihad's voice trembled. We're in trouble. The system announced, Cassiar, god of war, is awakening from his seal. Stand firm for 5 minutes. Looking at the magic circle in front of him, he muttered, that's a magic circle. Cassiar's form began to materialize, making him flinch. The system sent a red alert. Cassiar is awakening. The professional quest has officially begun. He squinted his eyes in assessment. It's not an elite or mythical monster, but the true entity that has appeared. Survival, 5 minutes. He immediately drew his weapon. Fine. I just have to not die for 5 minutes, right? If it's just about staying alive, I can still do it. But as he looked into the cold eyes of Cassiar standing before him, a sudden dread enveloped him. What is this? What's with this pressure? I can't move a muscle. His whole body was bound by mental chains like iron shackles. Cassiar slowly approached. Jihad warned, Master, prepare for battle. Eliza also chirped. Eliza. Seeing his master still standing motionless, Jihad panicked. Master, it's over, you're completely frozen. Du Haiyan didn't understand what was happening. What the hell? Why isn't the hero trait activating? The system announced, trait neutralized. This is not an abnormal status. Looking at Cassiar standing in front of him like a monster, he was terrified. He doesn't even need to use skills or effects. His sheer presence alone is this frightening. Feeling that things were going south, Jihad immediately turned and ran. Eliza, run, master is toast. Seeing the two children run away, Du Haiyan went ballistic. Are you saying I'm frozen stiff by a pile of virtual data? He threw his head back and roared at the sky in fury. The roar made both Jihad and Cassiar turn back to look, for he had just shattered the chains of control. The corner of his mouth quirked into an excited smile. Hey, I worked hard to get here. Why should I be afraid of him? Despite his words, his whole body was shaking like a leaf. Jihad asked dubiously, Master, if you're not scared, why are your legs shaking so hard? Interrupted, Du Haiyan snapped angrily, Shut up, I'm acting out a cool scene here. Jihad replied fearfully, Understood, Master, please continue your performance. Then Du Haiyan turned to Cassiar. Hey, God of War Cassiar, the skills you gave me run quite smoothly. But isn't the failure penalty for this Inheritance of Fate quest a bit excessive? He continued to grumble, losing absolutely everything after just one failure. I know arguing right now is pointless, but I'm seriously pissed off. Do you have any idea how much I had to grind to get this gear set? Do you even know? From behind, Jihad remarked once again, Eliza, the master has officially gone insane. Du Haiyan clenched his fists with determination. Having just secured top-tier skills and high-end gear, he thought his life as a gamer was finally taking off. But he was cut short. Jihad shouted, Master, stop standing there rambling and fight. What are you doing? Du Haiyan raised a hand to signal him. Hush, kid, there's only 1 minute left. Only then did Jihad realize the plan. Oh, so Master was just talking nonsense to stall for time. Your cunning is truly a shining example for all of us goblins. Go for it, master, use that silver tongue of yours to buy more time. Maybe we'll actually survive this. But when he saw Du Hyun suddenly charge straight ahead, the boy panicked. Oh my god, master, what are you doing? Du Hyun looked at his opponent and assessed the situation. Now's the time. While he's distracted, I'll circle around for a backstab. Who knows, maybe defeating Cassiar will trigger a secret reward. He immediately activated his gap-closing skill to get behind him. This movement, however, was entirely expected by Cassiar. The god simply gave a dismissive flick, reaching back and grabbing him by the neck as if he were an ant. Du Hyun's eyes filled with terror. This move didn't work either. Cassiar immediately slammed him hard onto the ground, causing the earth to shatter into pieces. From behind, Jihad screamed in horror, Maz, master. The impact caused his eyes to roll back, and several mouthfuls of blood sprayed from his mouth. Du Hyun was pinned to the ground, gasping for air while the monster stood over him, watching. His small goblin companion shrieked in a panic, calling for help. As the situation grew increasingly dire, Du Hyun thought, it's all over, cursing the rotten luck that had dragged him into this godforsaken mess. The giant loomed over him with a maniacal grin. Du Hyun braced himself for the absolute worst, the pressure from his opponent making it nearly impossible to breathe. But everything suddenly took a bizarre turn when the attacker grabbed his face and started poking at his neck. The renowned god of martial arts was stretching Du Hyun's face as if he were kneading a bun. It turned out this wasn't a death match, but rather, the man was just tickling him. Even the goblin assistant stood frozen, unsure of how to react to such a weird display of affection from a grandmaster. The war god even licked his lips like he had just found a delicious new toy. Seeing that grin, Du Hyun was scared out of his wits. What's with that tongue? He asked hurriedly. Meanwhile, Jihad quickly explained, Master, Cassiar has acknowledged you. Cassiar sticking out his tongue means he has accepted his opponent. The explanation left our protagonist completely dazed, for real. Once again, Cassiar chuckled, as if trying to say something. Jihad was quick to translate, he's asking if you are the one who will inherit his will. Du Hyun scrambled up and hurriedly admitted, yes, that's right. Hearing this, Cassiar began to dance and gesture wildly. Jihad kept up with the translation. He says you're the first human who dared to charge him without trembling. He was worried at first, but now the will has been passed on steadily. If he had found you unworthy, he would have finished you off, but this will do. To Du Hyun, the war god's strange behavior was enough to make him complain. Could he not just talk? And how do you understand everything he's saying, Jihad? Simultaneously, the system issued a notification. 5 minutes have passed. You have completed the hidden class quest, Heir of Fate. Strong against Fate, 110. Instead of the Apostle branch, you will enter the Air branch. Linked quests have begun to appear. After reading the notification, Du Hyun had to ask one more time just to be sure. It ended that simply. Cassiar gave him a thumbs up in confirmation. Jihad added further, Master, Cassiar says he's going to give you a relic. While our hero was still wondering what the object was, the war god reached into his pants. Seeing this, Du Hyun's face twisted into an expression of pure terror. He backed away, shouting in horror, wait, what the hell are you doing? Under his watchful gaze, Cassiar pulled something shiny and golden out from his trousers. The more he looked at it, the more panicked Du Hyun became. This isn't right. This game isn't supposed to be that kind of perverted stuff. Cassiar fully pulled out a golden staff. Du Hyun's face was completely contorted. You crazy bastard, he barked. However, contrary to his wild assumptions, the item Cassiar produced was just a perfectly normal staff. The god looked at Du Hyun with a confused expression. Even Jihad was equally puzzled. What on earth is Master thinking? Du Hyun shouted angrily. Why did the item come out from there? The system announced, you have received the first relic of the war god Cassiar, 1,000 transformations. Despite receiving the item, Du Hyun didn't seem particularly happy. It's a god's item, but why does it feel so wrong? He muttered. Ignoring his look, Cassiar waved his hand. Jihad quickly translated, he says time's up, so get lost already. Immediately after, a magic circle appeared beneath their feet. And while Du Hyun was still panicking, his whole body sank right into the circle. Both of them entered a state of freefall, causing Jihad to scream in terror, save me, master. The scene shifted to the outside of the temple, where a magic circle suddenly manifested, and the figures of Du Hyun and Jihad appeared from within it. The teleportation left our goblin friend feeling incredibly nauseous. The system continued its notifications. You have entered the second city of the Brion continent, the City of Promise. Turning back to Du Hyun, he took a moment to observe his surroundings and whispered, is this Brion? Well, at least I didn't get tossed into some hellhole. At that moment, an unfamiliar voice suddenly rang out. I was wondering what all the noise was about. So it's today's business then. Though you've arrived earlier than the day of prophecy, this must be fate. The speaker was a white-haired old man. Upon seeing him, Jihad immediately grew wary. Be careful, master. This guy's aura is anything but ordinary. Du Haiyan agreed. He stood up and drew his sword. But far from what they expected, the old man immediately dropped to his knees. I have waited a long time for you, O heir to his will. My name is Gamillion Adran, a member of the Adenaf family that has served the royal family since the beginning. I have waited for you for a very long time. Realizing he was an ally come to help, Jihad gave the old man a thumbs up. I knew it. He looks totally different from the rest. Du Haiyan turned and snapped, can you shut that wretched mouth of yours for once? The system provided him with a few reminders, recorded in the adventure book. Starting class quest, a step toward the truth. Listen to him tell the history of humanity that has been erased. Completion will unlock the main story quest objectives. Du Haiyan was quite intrigued by this quest. Throughout the year and a half of the beta, with 1 billion players in God of Sense, even the king of exploration, Barian, who grinded almost every known quest, had given up after a year of searching and claimed the game had no main story. Yet here it was appearing now. Unaware of the boy's internal questioning, old Gamillion stood up and continued, if you've made it this far, you must have met Lord Cassiar. Therefore, I wish to pass on the story that the heir must know. Du Haiyan nodded in agreement. 1,456 years ago, humanity was very different than it is now. A race possessed of extraordinary potential blessed by Avdarel himself. With that mission, they once held one of the 5 thrones of the world. However, just as the new king had secured his position, they arrived to invade. Those disgusting beings who call themselves rulers and command people from other worlds, those are the ones called gods. Gods who fled from the great war of Ragnarok after the divine realm was destroyed. They lusted after Avdarel, and a long, drawn-out war to protect the territory broke out. 1/3 of Avdarel was devastated because of that war. The one who reversed that catastrophic situation was a single human, the war god Cassiar. Seeing the way he took down 4 legendary gods, it seemed as if humanity was on the verge of victory. Until that thing crawled out from the earth. A new race created from the resentment of the gods and the fallen tribes. An extreme darkness, the abyss. It made no distinction between god or man. Anyone who fell into it turned into a monster and attacked everyone else. The scene back then was like hell on earth. The entire world was at risk of being swallowed whole. To save the world, the gods and humanity, who were originally enemies, were forced to sign a painful treaty. To sacrifice all of humanity. The very thing that provides power to the gods, faith, it meant they would turn all humans into sacrificial offerings to the rulers. As a result, the great humanity was stripped of its potential, becoming weak slaves under the gods' thumbs. As for Lord Cassiar, he was sealed immediately. And then the gods started packing in people from other worlds like yourselves. As soon as you step into this world, they push you into the abyss to destroy your original selves and turn you into nothing but obedient apostle puppets. Hearing this, Du Haiyan seemed to have a certain realization. Jihad turned and barked at him, Master, be quiet and listen carefully. Consequently, the subordinate immediately received a punch to the head, causing a large bump to swell up. Du Haiyan continued to stroke his chin analytically, so everything started from that place. Behind him, Jihad began to grumble internally. Master is so annoying. At this point, Du Haiyan began to understand a few things. So this was why he wasn't chosen by tier. He still held the qualities of an adventurer rather than an apostle. Because he defeated the magic dragon species, he obtained the Eyes of Truth, and this had led to the fateful encounter with Cassiar. Thinking about that, Du Haiyan immediately let his true face show. From the very beginning, his starting line was completely different from the commoners who chose to be apostles. On the other side, Gamillion continued, we have waited patiently for nearly 1,000 years just for the moment the heir of the prophecy would appear. This made Du Haiyan even more excited. They were waiting for me. Am I the only player to receive the main quest? It's as if this path is being paved specifically for me. You're about to write history, Kaiser. Truly, being this talented is such a burden. He laughed wickedly while speaking, leaving Jihad wondering why on earth he was laughing like that. Simultaneously, the system announced, you have grasped the truth about Avdarel, the buried history of humanity. This information has been recorded in the adventure book. Completed class quest, closer to the truth. The main plot has been unlocked. The main quest category has been created. Without a moment's hesitation, Du Haiyan opened his main quest log. You have qualified to enter the main plot, Fragments of Fate. Grade, main story, description, collect enough fragments to unlock the main event, Fragments of Fate 110. Across from him, old Gamillion also requested that he go find the Fragments of Fate, explaining that after that painful negotiation, Cassiar was sealed instantly, preventing him from ever stepping out into the world again. Before being sealed, Lord Cassiar placed one final bet for the sake of humanity. He used all his strength to pull out the vessel that was his origin, but the sealing power shattered it into many pieces scattered across the world. Only a complete fate can find me. Once the day of fate is complete, the eternal seal will be broken. Since the current weak humanity is in great peril, you must gather enough fragments to hope to face those hateful bastards. Du Haiyan asked hurriedly, "What is the day of fate?" However, Gamillion had no intention of explaining further. "I cannot reveal that at this time. Those are the rules of the promise." Hearing that, Du Haiyan nodded. "Fine then, where do I go to find these fragments?" The old man gave him a hint. It said someone once saw them in Brion, but before that, Lord Cassiar has a task for the heir. Our protagonist immediately felt this was a lucrative deal and hurriedly urged him to speak. "This task is very simple, just defeat some monsters. About 1,000 should be enough." At that, Du Haiyan froze, wondering if he had misheard. Unfortunately for him, the system confirmed. Sudden quest triggered Gamillion's trial. Gamillion's trial main story class tier, kill monsters around the Brion area no less than 1,000. Reward unlocks the next quest. Emphasis, risk of quest deletion and class stripping. Time, 60 hours, you cannot refuse this quest. Starring at the system screen, Du Haiyan's first reaction was utter bewilderment. Then he angrily demanded, "Why is it always like this? Every chance it gets, it wants me to guess everything for everyone. I don't know what that old man Cassiar has against me." Seeing Du Haiyan shedding tears of misery, old man Gamillion could only offer comfort. "I believe His Excellency has some deep, profound intention." Returning to his senses, Du Haiyan decided to brush the matter aside. "Whatever, it's not like it's the first time that old man has acted like a mad dog or something. So what now? To kill them all within 60 hours, I have to take one down every 3 minutes." Old man Gamillion, unsure of what else to do, simply wished Du Haiyan luck. Sensing that the old man was trying to slip away, Du Haiyan hurriedly asked, "Hey, wait a second, tell me where the highest concentration of monsters is." Before he could even finish his sentence, the old man had already waddled away. Finally, Du Haiyan could only let out a weary sigh. "It's over. The monsters in Brion are definitely much stronger than the ones in Raven. I haven't even gotten used to this place and already I'm being forced to kill 1,000 of them." Meanwhile, Jihad suddenly turned and asked, "By the way, when do you plan to use that thing you've been saving?" That long, sturdy-looking thing, the one Cassiar pulled out from his crotch. Hearing that, Du Haiyan became incredibly flustered. "Heavenly Change, you little devil, its name is Heavenly Change. Don't describe it in such a perverted way." Jihad had no idea what he had said wrong while Du Haiyan stopped paying attention to him. "Forget it, this is exhausting. Since I'm here, let's see if this item is actually useful for anything." Very quickly, the item's information appeared before him. Heavenly Change. Grade, Mythic Heroic, restricted to Cassiar's successor. Physical attack, 190-201. Durability, 100-100. Du Haiyan was momentarily stunned by this information. A mythic grade. This is the first time I've ever seen this. During my 3 years of struggling in Demroke or even inside God of War, I never even heard of a rank higher than Legendary. Thinking of this, he swallowed hard. He tried to stay calm to read further. Devour. The weapon can consume other weapons, transform into the shape of the consumed weapon, and use its special effects. If a weapon of the same type is stored, the old one will be discarded. Warning. The weapon only responds to its master. Those without proper qualifications cannot use the special effects. Since the user's level is too low, the full power cannot be accessed yet. Heavenly Change's attack power will be adjusted according to the quality of the transformed weapon. Capabilities have been adjusted to suit the user's level. Although Du Haiyan didn't fully understand, he nodded. "I don't quite get it, but let's just treat it as a type of growth tier equipment." There was one more point that caught his attention. Weapon Devour, how exactly does this work? Time passed quickly, the scene shifted to the pungent stone forest, where a large fellow was drawing his bow and aiming forward. The arrow was released, whistling past a massive orc. Knowing it was under attack, the creature immediately turned to investigate, scaring the guy so much he nearly wet his pants. It saw me. Sure enough, just a second later, the orc came thundering toward him. However, before it could attack its enemy, another strike hit it squarely in the head, making the orc cry out in pain. The one who struck was a large mage with purple hair. Get lost, you damn orc. In another corner, a swordsman lunged forward to attack. His blade slashed directly into the enemy's back. However, the attack didn't seem to do much. The orc simply turned slightly and slammed the swordsman into the ground. This is insane, everyone attack at once. The swordsman shouted and began attacking frantically again. After a short while, the orc eventually succumbed to the group attack and fell dejectedly. Seeing this, the whole group gasped for air from exhaustion. Phew, orcs are definitely no pushovers, but anyway, it's done right. The one with purple hair replied, "That's right, only we could have settled it so quickly. I have to admit, there's a reason the whole guild came all the way to Brion." The swordsman bragged, "Exactly. At this stage in this forest, there isn't a single lineup that can stand against us, ha ha ha." The whole group burst into laughter. Just then, the sound of footsteps ahead caught their attention. "Oh, someone's coming here alone. Is that ugly guy his guardian? His equipment looks pretty mediocre." Then they called out, "Hey brother, are you soloing?" Du Hyun was a bit surprised. He looked at them for a second or two before replying, "No, I'm still single." Hearing that, the group burst into even louder laughter. "Ah, so it's just some scrub who got separated from his group and has to go it alone. Look at that guy, he's hilarious. Just keep it down so he doesn't hear us, haha." On the other side, an orc also spotted Du Hyun. It began heading toward the protagonist along with its teammates. However, the protagonist didn't show even a hint of fear. "What's this? You dare to interrupt me while I'm just getting a feel for things before starting the quest." As the orc approached, he shouted and began to accelerate. In response, Du Hyun immediately transformed Heavenly Change into a sword. The golden staff in his hand turned into a sword of light, and in the blink of an eye, he easily took down the monster. That caused the swordsman's team to freeze instantly. It took a few seconds before he stammered, "What on earth was that? What kind of freak is that guy?" The air around everyone suddenly fell silent, until a member of the group spoke up. "Am I seeing things? It was clearly a staff just now, but now it's turned into a sword. Since when did God of Sense ever have that kind of weapon?" Without giving him any more time to figure it out, the remaining orc lunged for an attack. Seeing this, Du Hyun turned his head. The sword in his hand began to glow brilliantly, and then it transformed once again into an assassin's dagger. By this point, the party was completely certain. The purple-haired guy screamed. It transformed into another type of weapon again. Immediately after, they were even more horrified when Du Hyun swiftly threw the weapon forward, pinning it directly into the orc's chest, making it squeal like a stuck pig. Witnessing this, they felt a sense of dread. "What the hell is this? He keeps transforming it into different weapons and stabbing us." On this side, the orc was completely motionless, without a single trace of life left. Even Du Hyun was a bit surprised. "Oh, I didn't expect a one-hit kill." Saying that, he waved his hand. The sword embedded in the orc's chest was immediately pulled out by an invisible force. Then it flew back into his hand. Meanwhile, the party was still incessantly speculating. "This is so unfair, where's the balance? Is that some kind of magic trick, or is this some kind of fusion weapon? It must be a special skill, right?" From across them, Du Hyun suddenly turned, making the swordsman flinch. He said, "Were you planning to let that side strike first? I accidentally wiped them both out already." In response to these words, the big fellow laughed loudly. "It's fine, I've already taken down quite a few myself, haha." Seeing that, Du Hyun felt bored and looked away. "Oh, is that so?" Two more orcs approached him from the front. Entering his combat stance, the protagonist said excitedly, "In that case, I'll just take the opportunity to enjoy killing about 100 more." And just like that, not long after, the ground was littered with monster corpses. However, Du Hyun was still not satisfied with his achievement. Still a long way from the goal. "Aren't any more orcs showing up? There aren't even any players around here," Jihad explained on his behalf. "It's because you killed so many that the rest of them have all fled elsewhere." Du Hyun immediately argued back, "Huh, no way, how could a nobody like me clear out all the orcs alone? There are plenty of parties out there full of muscle-bound guys with insane stats." Speaking of which, Du Hyun spotted a few orcs slowly moving forward. Without needing to be told, Jihad understood why. "It seems the orcs are starting to feel wary of you, they're running deeper inside." Du Hyun smirked. "So they consider me a predator now? But it's understandable. After doing that raid training quest, even I can feel my stats skyrocketing. Not to mention that the weapons from the rewards were much stronger than I expected. I guess I can take it easy now. Saying that, he stretched to relax. His advisor Jihad agreed. Yeah, leave some for others to take down, let's go, let's go. However, just a second later, Du Hyun revealed his wicked face again. Wait, why did I do that again? If you don't like it, then just be a top S-ranker like me. After saying that, his weapon transformed into the Black Crow spear as he continued to farm monsters. With every monster, Du Hyun only needed to swing the spear once to easily send them to their graves. The more he fought, the more excited he became. Die, you bastards, hahaha, don't run away, he laughed loudly as he chased an orc. The orc was running when suddenly both Du Hyun and Jihad stopped. That was because there were only 3 minutes of playtime left. Time is almost up, should I just call it a day right here? Hearing his words, the orc finally let out a sigh of relief. But for someone like Du Hyun, how could he let it go so easily? What should I do now? Well, might as well get one more to make it a even 250. Left with no choice, the orc fled once again. However, at that moment, the truth eye was activated. Du Hyun stopped when he discovered something. What now? After stumbling from losing his momentum, Jihad turned to complain. Lord, you really are a handful. Just when one thing is finished, another pops up. Du Hyun interrupted him. Wait, look, do you see that red dot on the rock up there? Following their gaze, a red light was radiating from a rocky outcrop, pointing straight into the sky. However, after Jihad observed carefully, he still didn't see anything. Without letting him think too much, Du Hyun took the lead toward that place. No, look, only that spot is glowing. There must be something important there. Very quickly, the two of them climbed onto the outcrop. Jihad asked curiously, what's there? Du Hyun reached out to touch the glowing rock while thinking, it's been a long time since the truth eye technique was activated. There must be something here. Could this be a destiny fragment? When his hand touched the layer of red light, Du Hyun felt as if he were touching a liquid, causing him to quickly pull his hand back. At the same time, the system gave a notification. You have found a hidden clue recorded in the adventure survey book. Found quest item, Dark Energy. A new quest has been initialized. Du Hyun looked at the stone in his hand and muttered, Dark Energy, Jihad has plenty of that. The system continued with a more detailed explanation. Quest item found, Dark Energy, Dark Stone Block, a mysterious ore found by chance in the Bloodstone Forest. It radiates a terrifying aura. Item grade, rare quest item. High Priest Keditor of the Lur Temple may know what this is. Find Keditor and give him this item. After reading the notification, Du Hyun displayed a face full of excitement. I didn't expect a quest item to drop here. Too bad it's not a destiny fragment, but the reward probably won't be bad either. Then the system notified him that he only had 10 seconds of playtime left. Du Hyun was a bit surprised at how fast time had passed. Jihad also panicked. What, you're logging out right now? That's right, is there a problem? Du Hyun replied. Jihad frantically said, no, it's just, when you're gone, Eliza and I... Before he could finish his sentence, he was teleported to the Guardian room. The scene shifted to a forest. Looking at the somewhat familiar sight, Jihad sighed again. Each Guardian is given a private room. They can roam safely here until their master returns. This is the first time I've been tossed into a Guardian room, so it feels a bit strange. Compared to the outside world, this place was too quiet and peaceful. But even so, I've finally met Eliza again after 150 years, yet I haven't even had the chance to ask how she's been. This is also Eliza's first time here. She must be panicking. I wonder if she's okay. When can we go back? I really want to stroke Eliza's soft fur. I haven't even had a chance to play with her. Having to clean up the master's messes, I really want to just hug the soft, bouncy Eliza and go to sleep. Speaking of which, he suddenly spotted a wooden house ahead. This made him curious. There's already a guardian room. Why does it look like the tent I used to live in? How did this house end up here? Memories were flooding back. Jihad carefully opened the door and looked inside. To his surprise, Eliza was already on the table. The two of them were overjoyed to see each other. Moving the scene to Du Hyun's house. At this moment, he had just stepped out of the game pod and stretched his body comfortably. Just a little bit more and I would have had 250, what a shame. Saying this, he caught the faint scent of food nearby. It turned out his younger sister was eating noodles. This caused the hungry main character to be unable to resist approaching to strike up a conversation. Hyun, ah, my dear little sister. Before he could even finish his sentence, his sister replied, refusing immediately. No way, don't even think about it, hurry back to your room. Her attitude left Du Hyun silent for a few seconds. However, immediately afterward, despite her refusal, Du Hyun still stuck his chopsticks into her bowl of noodles. Heavenly transformation, switch to shiny steel chopsticks mode, prepare yourself, you toxic orc. Just like that, the two of them began to duel with their chopsticks, determined not to let the other touch any noodles. After a while, Du Haiyan himself felt exhausted and started panting. Tusk, this orc has stamina. Haiyan Ah then mocked him back. Even mud skippers can talk now. Brother, please wake up from your dream. You're terrible at games, but you love to show off. To this questioning, Du Haiyan immediately snapped back, cutting her off. What was that? Have you ever even seen me play? Do you even know what the main quest is? Haiyan Ah glanced at him, blowing on her noodles, and said, is there such a thing, or did you join some guild now? Du Haiyan shook his head, saying he had no intention of joining any guild. For some reason, his sister nearly burst out laughing as she said, probably because no one wants to invite you. Seeing Haiyan Ah looking down on him, Du Haiyan gritted his teeth and said, that has nothing to do with it. I'll reach first place for sure, just you wait. Unfortunately, although Du Haiyan declared it very grandly, Haiyan Ah felt even more amused. What did you say? You're not even in the top 10 large guilds, your appearance isn't as handsome as Verger. Your views on YouTube haven't even hit 100 million, what are you going to reach first place with? At this point, the main character couldn't take it anymore. He stood up abruptly and declared, fine, just wait, when your brother succeeds you'll see. Saying that, he left in a huff, while Haiyan Ah just muttered, I don't know where you get all that confidence from. Ignoring her brother, she continued to bury her head in her noodles. It was just a pity that right at that moment, Du Haiyan rushed over to sneak some food, making her mad enough to explode. Afterward, Du Haiyan immediately rushed into his room, fiddling with his computer while saying, you dare look down on your brother? I'll show you what my true ability is like. Let's see that clip I recorded earlier. I'll upload it to make it really impressive. Then, just as Du Haiyan searched for the keyword God of Savior, he suddenly felt extremely surprised when his own game character appeared. Isn't this me? In another development, while Kaiser was rampaging without a second thought, the entire world of God of Savior began to shake violently. At the entrance of Brion, countless people had gathered and they kept whispering to each other. Is that truly the legendary Kaiser of the Demrock region? Finishing the S-rank Raven graduation quest is indeed a win. But why haven't we seen a trace of him? I heard he just entered the Stone Forest. Just like that, rumors spread everywhere. The group raced to enter the bloody Stone Forest to find information. A black-haired guy ran while asking his teammate, are you sure Kaiser is here? The teammate replied, boss, photos of him hunting monsters here are all over the internet. Hearing that, the black-haired guy was a bit confused. That's strange, Kaiser hasn't liked guilds since his Demrock days. Or did he smell the scouts and run away? The blonde guy nodded in agreement. That must be it, boss. He wouldn't show his face so easily. What a shame, I thought I'd be able to achieve a great feat this time. A member of the Genian Guild asked confusedly. He ignored every offer from the scouts? A member of the Beekjuicen Guild replied, in God of Savior, how long can you last without a guild? Is he crazy? A handsome guy from the Hero Guild also curiously said, I heard number 8 just sent a challenge to all the guilds, but in Brion, things won't be that easy. Just like that, the big guilds began to make their moves, and rumors were exaggerated and spread quickly through the community. Returning to Du Haiyan's side, he was also extremely surprised. But thinking about it, nothing was really wrong. The timing is coming. While the public is still paying attention, let's just post something. No sooner said than done. Du Haiyan immediately pressed the upload button and happily climbed into bed. This should attract a ton of people. How many views do I need to make money? How much is a Ferrari these days? Oh wait, I don't even have a driver's license, he said delusionally. Time passed quickly until the next morning. At this moment, Du Haiyan was trembling as he clutched his phone. The video he uploaded yesterday had already reached 3.4 million views. The comments were overwhelmingly supportive, and people couldn't get enough of watching it. Even Du Haiyan himself felt surprised by this result. Is this really my channel? Thinking about the initial success, Du Haiyan couldn't help but laugh out loud. He immediately ran to show off to his sister. Kang Haiyan, ah, look, behold the greatness of your brother. Answering his words was a ladle to the forehead. The person who struck was Du Haiyan's mother. She grumbled, what are you screaming about so early in the morning? Hurry up and come eat. Du Haiyan rubbed his head and asked, and where is Haiyan? Ah, mom, she replied. Who knows, it's Friday, she's probably at school. Knowing this, Du Haiyan turned and left in disappointment. His mother snapped, are you going to eat or not? Du Haiyan turned back and replied, I'll eat later, once I'm rich I'll treat you to some premium beef. Just like that, Du Haiyan logged back into the game. Excitement was evident on his face. Alright, I have to work hard and upload more clips. At this rate, I'll be a world-class gamer soon. At this same moment, suddenly several system notifications appeared. Loyalty of Guardian Jihad Black increased due to Jihad leveling up. Guardian Eliza has awakened. The unexpected notifications left the male lead feeling surprised. What is this? I just logged in and the notifications are popping up continuously. Awaken? What exactly is awakening? As if to answer that, Jihad Black proactively came out to greet him. Yo, master, here early. For some reason, looking at his expression, Du Hyun felt a bit annoyed. This guy, if you look closely, he's starting to get a bit annoying. The goblin guy waved his hands. Come on, we're family, why so formal? Du Hyun observed him again. It looks like you've changed a bit. Is that so? Probably because being in the room makes me look more handsome. Jihad laughed, making Du Hyun speak sternly. Hey, I'm not joking here. Jihad still smiled. I'm not joking either. Afterward, Du Hyun turned his eyes to look at Eliza and asked, but wait, why has Eliza's color changed? Is it because she awakened her power, and where did that necklace suddenly come from? Mentioning that, Jihad's voice became cheerful. When we were in the room, the 11th floor suddenly glowed and changed color. And this is her favorite necklace, which was placed in our room. Du Hyun stroked his chin, slightly puzzled. Your room? Usually the Guardian's rooms should be separated, right? And what do you mean by found? Jihad teased Eliza while saying, just leave it at that, probably because I lived well, the heavens rewarded me. Du Hyun crossed his arms, teasing while saying, how could Eliza be influenced by this lowly goblin? Jihad sighed. What did I do? Right then, another strange voice suddenly intervened. Hey, isn't that Kaiser? That's the same arrogant attitude, that's him for sure. And is that gloomy little thing next to him a guardian? Immediately after, another voice rang out. Brother Kaiser, it really is him, that's so cool. Join our guild, we guarantee you the best benefits. Our drunken cavalry squad is the place that suits you best, Brother Kaiser. Countless invitations began to be thrown his way, and this group, seeing so many competitors, began to aggressively lunge forward. Hold him back, we don't know when he'll disappear again. Watching the group surrounding him from all four sides, Jihad asked with some concern, what is this situation, master? Hearing that, Du Hyun was also a bit confused. I was just posting a clickbait clip, yet the flies and mosquitoes are swarming in like ants. Sigh, sometimes being too charming is a sin. Is this your first time seeing a celebrity? Are you all going crazy? If you want to take a photo, go take a number. Before Du Hyun's words, a black-haired guy suggested, his level is still low, hurry and capture him. Du Hyun felt a bit regretful that the group didn't fall for his trap. Sigh, they didn't fall for it. But thinking about it, I guess I can't take photos anyway. While speaking, he transformed his staff into a shield. After that, he gritted his teeth and swung the shield forward while shouting loudly, goodbye because I have personal image rights. The surrounding players were completely surprised, having no idea what skill he had just activated. Du Hyun didn't let them react in time. He slammed the heavy shield onto the ground, creating a terrifying shockwave. Bodies flew in all directions as the impact force sent the small fries trying to surround him flying. Taking advantage of the temporary opening, he called Jihad and Eliza, saying it was time to escape. The group rushed forward, leaving the angry crowd behind in the misty forest. Du Hyun gritted his teeth, realizing that being famous in this game was more of a curse than a blessing. Just as they pulled away, a new group of players discovered him, and the chase began again. Jihad and Eliza clung tightly to his head, looking back at the aggressive stalkers following them. Du Hyun decided he needed a more thorough solution and prepared to throw his shield. He reached his hand out. The shield began to vibrate as if it had its own consciousness. Then it flew straight back into Du Hyun's hand. He continued to run, taking advantage of the chaotic moment to truly put distance between them and the bandits. Du Hyun caught the flying shield, spinning it around with practiced precision. While continuing to move, he threw it again, issuing a final warning. Anyone who dares to keep chasing will pay the price with pain. Finally, they reached Bond City, where towering medieval buildings promised at least a bit of safety from the wilderness. Even so, he could not escape attention. Players on the street whispered and pointed as the famous ranker passed by. A diligent guild recruiter tried to shove a flyer in his face, but Du Hyun brushed it aside without stopping. In his heart, he thought, well, at least being in the city is less annoying than being in the hunting grounds. Because anyone who strikes or kills others here gets thrown in jail, I can tell by their faces they are trying hard to hide their frustration. They must be dying to attack me. A legendary character from the past now appearing like a low-level newbie on the fourth day. Those guys must be wanting to defeat me to make a name for themselves in one go. Now I have the motivation to grind to max level as fast as possible. From now until then, it's best to keep a low profile and not attract attention. But keeping a low profile was impossible when Jihad started screaming at the top of his lungs, attracting everyone's attention. The goblin introduced himself and Eliza as the guardians of the great legend Kaiser, turning their arrival into a parade. He was clearly very fond of the spotlight, ensuring everyone knew exactly who they were facing. Du Hyun had seen enough. He reached down and grabbed the back of the noisy goblin's neck, dragging Jihad away while he was still struggling. Du Hyun scolded, "Shut up, you idiot, we're being hunted and you're attracting even more attention." Jihad tried to justify himself. "I was just giving us a worthy introduction, we're legends after all." Du Hyun shouted, "Shut your mouth, you short goblin, we still have a mission to complete, no time for your useless showing off." They reached the Lyre Grand Temple, a magnificent, majestic structure, a symbol of power in the city. Du Hyun stopped in front of the door, suddenly feeling an overwhelming, heavy sensation from the sacred scene. He cautiously took the first step inside, wondering if he could just walk in and ask for an audience. Two temple guards immediately stepped forward to block the way, holding their spears firmly and asking for his purpose. Du Hyun kept his calm, saying he had come to meet the High Priest Gildetti. The reaction was extremely hostile. A soldier poked the tip of his spear close to Du Hyun's nose, his gaze sharp. The soldier was furious, thinking that a nameless person like Du Hyun dared to call the high priest's name casually. Jihad immediately retorted, shouting loudly, "You dare point a weapon at my master." Right after those words, a spear was pointed directly at his face, causing this idiot to tuck his tail back. Fine, I'll let this slide." Du Hyun told that useless guy to calm down, then opened the system menu to provide proof to the guards that he wasn't a random intruder. He held up a small blue box, saying he had come to show them what was inside. A soldier startled, his hand subconsciously moving to his chest. The soldier leaned in closely, his eyes fixed on the mysterious container that Du Hyun was presenting. Very quickly, they were allowed to enter. Along with Jihad and Eliza, Du Hyun followed two robed monks along the stone corridor of the temple, nodding as he realized the atmosphere here was extremely tense. They stopped in front of a pair of giant wooden doors. The guide instructed him to step inside slowly and respectfully. Du Hyun stepped across the threshold, even though the guide's warning about his attitude in front of the high priest made him feel like he had done something wrong. He cautiously peered through the opening doors. Inside the large hall, High Priest Gildetti, an old man with a long, white beard and a magnificent crown, was sitting on a tall throne flanked by two powerful knights. As they approached the throne, Du Hyun was weighed down by the terrible pressure in the room and the intimidating aura of the guards. Zerdik, a muscular knight with spiky blonde hair, looked down at Du Hyun with suspicion from the start. Du Hyun replied stammeringly in tension, his worry skyrocketing when he realized Zerdik's name tag was a deadly red. Zerdik pressed down on him, demanding Du Hyun introduce himself properly since he had been allowed in. Du Hyun apologized and quickly stated his name, but Zerdik shouted, "Speak up, don't mumble." A calm knight with black hair in a ponytail intervened, telling Zerdik that he had seen and heard enough. Taxanal, the elegant black-haired knight, apologized on behalf of his comrade for the rude attitude, explaining that Zerdik was from the far regions. Du Hyun kept his calm, even though he was sweating on the inside when he realized Taxanal also had a red name tag. He smiled sheepishly, "I was just startled because it was so sudden." High Priest Gildetti spoke up, acknowledging that the journey to the temple must have been difficult for Du Hyun. Gildetti requested to see the object he had brought. Du Hyun took out the blue box again, opened the lid, revealing a jet-black fragment that looked like obsidian inside. Gildetti carefully lifted the shard with a white cloth, his face turning ashen. The high priest observed the stone fragment closely, his eyes full of solemn weight as he confirmed its identity. Gildetti looked up and asked Du Hyun, "Do you know what this is?" Du Hyun was honest, "I don't know, I just happened to pick it up from a rock in the forest." Zerdik exploded with anger, shouting, "You were reckless enough to bring this here without knowing what it is." The hot-tempered knight leaned forward, his expression aggressive and incredulous. "That's not it, I picked it up in the stone forest, I saw it stuck in a rock so I pulled it out," the main character hurriedly explained. But the blonde seemed unable to accept it. "What are you blabbering about? How could a normal person find something like that on a rock, unless you're a priest?" Taxanal apologized wearily, nodding that although Zerdik was a good lad, his words and temperament were too rough. Gildedi reassured Zerdik that there was no reason to doubt Du Hyun's intentions and story. Zerdik remained irritated, muttering, "The high priest is treating this peasant with too much respect." Gildedi just smiled faintly at the knight's irritability, admitting that perhaps the initial welcome was a bit rude. He said that although Du Hyun looked like a normal outsider, his top graduate title was reacting to this situation. He addressed Du Hyun as an honored guest, asserting that someone with his level was completely worthy of discovering this item. Gildedi stared intently at the black shard, calling it the most terrifying energy source in Avarl, the footprint of fear. Zerdik and Taxanal listened intently as the high priest explained that this single fragment was a trace of a much greater horror. High Priest Gildedi's expression became fierce as he spoke the name of the entity that had left this trace, the Abyss. Du Hyun's face stiffened, the weight of the situation finally beginning to sink in. Gildedi explained that the Abyss was an extremely dangerous ancient force, one so powerful that even the all-powerful gods had to fear it. He said that the temple had entrusted them with the task of eradicating every trace of the Abyss to protect the people. Du Hyun listened, his mind reeling as he recalled Gamelon's words and realized that the Abyss had appeared much earlier than expected. He pondered the strange truth of it all, wondering if the spread of the Abyss was a consequence of the war caused by the gods. Zerdik noticed Du Hyun's dazed expression, pointed a finger at him, and demanded to know what was on his mind. The hot-headed knight accused Du Hyun of hiding something, but Taxanal quickly told him to shut up. Taxanal tried to defuse the situation, explaining that Zerdik was just particularly sensitive when it came to the Abyss. Gildedi cut through the pleasantries, asking Du Hyun for a favor right now that the presence of the Abyss had been officially confirmed. Behind the High Priest, a projection of a glowing giant red orc appeared as he explained the mission to identify monsters corrupted by the Abyss. Gildedi stated that while the advanced stages of corruption were easy to recognize, the early stages had no external signs, so Du Hyun had to collect blood samples for analysis. A system notification appeared before Du Hyun, asking if he wanted to accept the linked quest, Search for Traces of the Abyss. The new quest's reward list highlighted an increase in intimacy with Gildedi and an intermediate skill draw ticket. Du Hyun's eyes glowed with greed as he stared at the intermediate skill draw ticket. He bowed deeply and respectfully before the High Priest, promising to investigate immediately. Gildedi entrusted the entire mission to him. Du Hyun rushed out of the temple doors, cheering joyfully. Hunting orcs is easy as pie compared to those recent trials. He spread his arms wide in excitement, imagining how much stronger he would become after upgrading with Chinon and the new skill. Du Hyun twirled and danced happily, brimming with energy, while Jihad followed behind, mimicking his master's moves. They both hopped down the corridor toward the exit, completely immersed in the joy of a high-reward quest. Du Hyun ran toward the heavy exit door, a confident, radiant smile on his face as he reached for the handle. But just as the door cracked open a tiny bit, Du Hyun discovered a massive crowd of players waiting right outside the temple area. Du Hyun stopped instantly, leaning his back against the door, his face twisted in frustration at the sight of the paparazzi. Jihad looked up at his master, bewildered by the sudden change, and asked, "Master, what's wrong?" Du Hyun stared at the exit, in his mind imagining himself being endlessly chased by the crowd of players, likening them to a swarm of fire ants chasing him through the city. He imagined being mobbed the moment he stepped into the forest, worried that his playtime would be wasted just dealing with this trash. Du Hyun rested his hand on his forehead, sighed, and considered whether to cover his face before going out. He glanced to the side, his brain running at full speed trying to find a way to resolve the unwanted attention. Du Hyun looked down at the goblin, calling his name as a specific plan began to form. He pointed a finger at Jihad and said bluntly, "Take off your cloak right here." Jihad clutched the front of his robe, his face turning red as he asked, "What is Master thinking?" Du Hyun opened the description of the black goblin shaman cloak, explaining that he needed the facial recognition jamming mode to move easily. Jihad became increasingly flustered, resisting the idea of having to give up his only piece of clothing. Du Hyun's figure obscured the light, appearing like a fearsome shadow. as he tried on the shaman cloak. Jihad told him to wait, his expression sharp as he detected an opportunity to turn the tables on his master. A cunning smile revealing sharp teeth spread across the goblin's face. Jihad held out his hand and demanded, "You have to ask politely, say it, please give it to me, Lord Jihad." Du Haiyan shouted immediately, "Are you crazy?" Jihad shrugged nonchalantly, "Then master, go deal with the stalkers yourself since you're so good at it." The goblin lay on his back on the stone floor, laughing his head off while Du Haiyan was boiling with rage at his subordinate's lack of loyalty. Du Haiyan gritted his teeth, his face twisted in pain as he struggled to force out the humiliating words. Veins popped out on his forehead. Finally, he stammered, "Please, give it to me, Lord Jihad." Suddenly, Eliza jumped from Jihad's head onto Du Haiyan's shoulder, chirping for attention. Jihad jumped up in a panic, eyes wide. "Eliza, what are you doing?" Eliza offered a small glowing necklace to Du Haiyan, chirping happily as she presented it. Du Haiyan looked at the jewelry in the palm of his hand, completely dazed, not understanding why the spider was gifting it to him. A system notification confirmed he had received the Eliza bracelet, a hero-grade item with high durability. The bracelet's special option was revealed. It granted the wearer light invisibility and eliminated mana consumption for skills. Du Haiyan laughed happily, holding up the bracelet and wondering why Eliza had hidden something so useful. Jihad collapsed to the ground, weeping, "Eliza, you betrayed me," while Eliza only chirped back at the goblin. Du Haiyan observed the bracelet in his hand, nodding that while the invisibility was very useful, the limitation of must not touch anything while using it was quite strict. He glanced at Jihad, realizing that even if he were invisible, walking through a crowd with a noisy goblin who loved attention would be pointless. Du Haiyan stopped abruptly and turned sharply to look at Jihad, causing him to jump in fright at his master's sharp gaze. A threatening smile spread across Du Haiyan's face as he recalled the goblin's arrogant attitude from moments ago. Jihad broke into a cold sweat, completely lost with Eliza perched on his head. He muttered to himself, trying to think of his next move now that he was alone. Outside the temple, the massive crowd gathered, not to attend Sunday service. They were waiting for Du Haiyan and had nothing else to do until they found him. The players were chatting among themselves, confirming they saw Du Haiyan go in. They were determined to camp right there until he surfaced, hoping to steal a bit of fame. Jihad poked his head out around the corner, his expression bitter. He wasn't happy at all about being left to deal with the crowd while his master went who knows where. The crowd spotted him sitting alone by the entrance. They recognized him as Du Haiyan's protector and started wondering why he was wandering around without his master. The goblin was boiling with rage, convinced Du Haiyan had abandoned him just because he went to the bathroom for a moment. He took it personally, completely unaware he was part of a larger plan. Jihad stood up and began walking out, attracting every eye in the courtyard. The players were immediately curious, wondering where he was going and if he would lead them to Du Haiyan. Jihad started acting loudly, mentioning a hidden portal that Kaiser supposedly found recently. The crowd fell for it completely, thinking they were about to discover a secret. They followed the goblin away from the temple and down the main road. He looked like a tiny parade leader with a massive, greedy mob following him. The players were breathing down his neck, desperate for any clue about Du Haiyan's location. They were so focused on the goblin that they forgot the temple entrance. Suddenly, a system notification appeared. Because Du Haiyan had left the current area, his guardians would be automatically pulled along due to the game's mechanics. Right in front of the dazed players, Jihad and Eliza vanished into a pillar of blue light. The decoy plan had ended. The crowd could only stand and stare at the empty space where the goblin had just vanished. They realized too late that the prey had disappeared into thin air. A system notification confirmed Du Haiyan had arrived at the bloodied stone forest. His invisibility was active, keeping him hidden from any players nearby. Deep in the misty forest, Jihad appeared right next to Du Haiyan. The teleportation mechanic worked perfectly, bringing the whole team together in the new area. Du Haiyan punched his palm in satisfaction. He was thrilled that the escape had gone smoothly without a single flaw. He had finally escaped the annoying crowd. He intentionally exploited Jihad's noisy nature to lead the players away, knowing the game would teleport his subordinates when he changed areas. It was a perfect pro move. Du Haiyan couldn't help but laugh at how easily the crowd was deceived. Conversely, Jihad looked like he was fed up with his master's schemes for the day. When the goblin tried to complain, Du Haiyan immediately signaled for silence. He was still invisible and didn't want Jihad's big mouth to give away their position in the mist. He spotted several other players nearby and warned Jihad to shut his mouth and just keep walking. If the goblin continued to attract attention, Du Hyun threatened to lock him in the guardian room permanently. They ventured deeper into the dark forest, passing other players without anyone knowing Du Hyun was standing right there. The crowd saw the goblin but assumed it was just a random NPC because Du Hyun was not visible. A warning appeared as the mist became increasingly thick. The system advised him to be careful of orcs that like to ambush players from the fog in this area. Feeling safe enough from players, Du Hyun turned off his invisibility. The mist swirled around them as they prepared for the real hunt. He reached out and stroked Eliza's head as a reward. The little spider seemed to love the attention, chirping happily. Jihad tried to claim credit for the successful escape, declaring it was all thanks to him. Du Hyun admitted it was effective but joked that he really hated having to compliment a goblin. Eliza began chirping her name repeatedly, looking slightly restless. Du Hyun looked down, puzzled, not understanding what his little subordinate was trying to say. Jihad just shrugged, guessing she was sulking about something. He didn't realize the sudden change in the atmosphere. Suddenly, a giant, muscular green arm pierced through the mist, accompanied by a terrifying roar. The ambush the system warned about was happening right now. Du Hyun and Jihad were completely caught off guard. Their conversation was cut short by the massive threat emerging from the mist. They didn't expect it to attack so soon. Before Du Hyun could react, Eliza launched herself into the air toward the monster. She wouldn't let anything touch her master. A giant orc stood towering over them, but the tiny white spider had charged headfirst into battle. The hunt for the abyss had officially begun. Immediately after, a stream of spider silk shot from Eliza's mouth, aiming precisely at the orc's right eye, causing it to grunt several times, and try to reach up to pull the web sticking to its face. However, what it didn't expect was that this silk was more durable than usual. Even its own hand got stuck to the silk. This made Du Hyun and Jihad feel surprised. "What was that? Is it stuck in the spider silk?" he exclaimed. Meanwhile, the orc was still trying to struggle to pull the spider silk out. Du Hyun saw this and leaned forward slightly, stepping back. Only vision was controlled and it's already stunned. On another side, Eliza continued to fire silk for control. It continuously moved and jumped around the monster, causing spider silk to wrap all over its body. Finally, the entire orc was tightly restrained and stiff. After finishing, Eliza waved to signal the protagonist. Du Hyun understood the hint and immediately drew his weapon. Awesome, the chance to finish off the whole pack is here. Without hesitation, he transformed his weapon into assassin swords and threw them straight forward at wind-tearing speed. The attack aimed precisely at the orc's throat, causing it to only manage one tragic scream before it officially met its end. The system quickly gave a notification: "You have defeated an orc. You have collected a quest item, concentrated orc blood." Hearing the notification sound, Du Hyun also recalled his sword and nodded in satisfaction. "Oh my god, that's really peak. Eliza, how did you do that? You know how to use these moves too." Eliza chirped a few times, full of joy. Du Hyun turned to look at Jihad and requested, "Jihad, this time you have to translate what Eliza just said." Jihad shrugged and replied, "It's the same as before. She said she wants to join in the real combat." This made Du Hyun unable to resist rubbing Eliza's head a few times to praise her. "Really? So tiny, but how do you know how to think like that?" Although he praised her, Du Hyun also offered an honest remark. "Hey Eliza, you just made a mistake. You have to wait for me to press record before showing off. This pile turns into money. The nuduber scene is fiercely competitive, no joke." Hearing this from the protagonist, Jihad didn't understand anything. However, he didn't want to grow up to be that kind of person. Right at this moment, several other orcs heard the noisy sound and came looking. This made Du Hyun feel even happier. "Oh, perfect timing. Now show me your full capabilities, Eliza." Eliza jumped up excitedly. Time passed quickly. With Eliza's support, the spear in Du Hyun's hand pierced through the orc's chest. After that, he casually cleaned up the head of another orc. The system quickly issued a confirmation: "You have combined orc levels. Spear mastery has increased." With the ease of taking down these monsters, Du Hyun was as happy as could be. Ever since Eliza awakened, she looks completely different. The speed of clearing these orcs is much faster. On this side, Jihad began to laugh enviously. "Haha, is this okay? I was the one who relied on the master to become a guardian, and Eliza relied on me to get to follow along. I should be the one at this rank. But that order is about to be turned upside down. It's not just swapping positions anymore. That little kid wants to climb onto my head and sit there. I like Eliza, but this is too much. At this rate, the master will look down on me even more. I have to show them my true prowess. Thinking of this, a wave of jealousy rose in Jihad's heart. He immediately used his necromancy skill, summoning 2 red goblin zombies from the forest. Beside him, Du Haiyan didn't understand what his subordinate was going crazy about and turned to ask, "What is he doing all of a sudden?" Ignoring the protagonist, Jihad continued to show off. "Appear, Darien." At the call, a blue goblin crawled out from the ground. The 3 of them lined up behind Jihad, while Jihad proudly declared, "Rowan Nix Darien report." However, there was no praise or applause. Du Haiyan, after a few seconds of silence, dazed, asked, "What is this? Planning to send them to pick up gear? Why are you suddenly nomming these zombies?" Jihad scratched his head distractedly. If they appear without calling their names, it feels a bit awkward. At the same time, a notification screen suddenly appeared. Using monsters from the previous sub-dungeon as material to create zombies reduces mana consumption by 50%. Du Haiyan was slightly surprised. "Oh, so this effect exists." He stroked his chin, smiling clearly. "Saving mana means I can deploy more tricks. It turns out turning monsters into zombies before changing maps is the right move." He pointed to the side and requested, "Jihad, your mana should still be full, right? Try turning this lot into zombies." Jihad received the command immediately, "Yes, master." Then Jihad's entire body was covered in dark mana. "Wake up, Kale Seraphine Garrick." This source of energy affected an orc, causing its body to slowly stand up. Very quickly, the 3 defeated orcs stood tall like guardians. Jihad once again declared their names. However, this only made Du Haiyan more annoyed. "I told you not to name them randomly. Maybe in a moment I'll have them stand up and introduce themselves." Jihad tried to justify himself. But seeing the black color smeared on their foreheads, doesn't Master feel more at ease looking at them? Looking at their hands, they looked a bit shabby, Du Haiyan remarked, but it only made Jihad feel more annoyed. "Why do you criticize me right in front of my juniors?" Just when Jihad didn't know how to demonstrate his capabilities, not far away, the sound of an orc rang out, making him very happy. "The opportunity is here, let me prove it to you, let's go kids." Following his command, several goblins and orcs roared and charged together. Du Haiyan, witnessing the scene, broke into a cold sweat. "Are you playing Pokémon or what?" The result was no surprise. The orcs were immediately mobbed by the swarm of monsters, so it didn't take many breaths before it rolled over and died. Jihad clenched his fist in excitement when seeing this scene. "Well done, my children," Du Haiyan pouted, remarking, "Looks like it didn't hit the spot at all." Hearing this, Jihad slyly turned back to explain, "Today I'm having bad luck being nagged a lot. My true purpose is something else. It's always to have them automatically hunt for orcs for me." Hearing this, Du Haiyan couldn't help but laugh uncontrollably. "Oh my god, this guy is suddenly smart. What are you standing there for? Hurry up and order them to go catch the orcs and bring them here." Jihad waved his hand arrogantly. "I know, just wait and see. All troops hear my command. From this moment on, if you see an orc, you must suck it dry for me. Is that clear?" The orcs raised their hands and roared as if responding to the command. However, immediately after, their bodies suddenly dissolved like sea foam. The reason was because Jihad had exhausted his mana, so the zombie summoning spell was cancelled. The air around the two suddenly became more silent than ever. A few seconds later, Jihad knelt down in disappointment, and the protagonist himself didn't feel too surprised. He remarked, "This guy's archetype is actually quite good. It's just a shame it consumes too much mana. Is there any way to overcome this weakness?" While Du Haiyan was still thinking in the distance, the eyes of the orc that had just been defeated suddenly appeared with a green light. Then it slowly stood up, causing Du Haiyan to pay attention. "What is that over there?" When he saw the monster walking toward them, Du Haiyan's teeth clenched together. "Didn't that guy just kick the bucket?" he shouted.